Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, National Mecha. Invincibility starts with a million increase. Chapter 41. After doing all this, Chen En, who was sitting more casually before, he straightened up and looked at Zhao Wei seriously. Xiao Zhao, this child has a special identity. Even I don't know his specific identity. However, when I took office, the superiors gave me a policy. No intervention, no surveillance, no protection, just let things go their own way. After hearing these words, Zhao Wei was really stunned for a moment. In his impression, SSS-level encrypted characters are definitely very important beings. No matter what, at the very least, protection should be set up secretly, right? The reason why he made the arrangement was because he thought the superiors had their own arrangements. Result: no intervention, no surveillance, he could still understand. What is the situation of not protecting, letting things go? I won't go into details. Anyway, just remember this policy. Whatever he is, what he has done, what achievements he has made, and what has happened to him, treat him as an ordinary person and do whatever he has to do. Quote. Zhao Wei originally wanted to say something. Previously, through reports from his subordinates, he concluded that this attack was most likely the result of targeting Su Yang. After all, he is an important person whose identity is SSS-level encrypted. His original intention of coming to visit was to hear Mr. Chen's opinion. As a result, now, since Mr. Chen has made it so clear, if he still can't understand, then he will be serving as the director for nothing. Okay, then you always rest, I understand. Mr. Chen nodded. Press the button next to the desk again. The highest level of security system was lifted instantly. After the matter was over, Zhao Wei took his leave after continuing to chat for a while. Left the Chen family. Zhao Wei smiled bitterly. Su Yang's background may be much more complicated than I imagined. The so-called policy is simply bizarre. Can only say, forget it. Mr. Chen also said it. This is something decreed from above. Then what else can he, a director of Hangcheng, get involved with? Just pretend you don't know Su Yang's SSS-level encrypted identity and treat him like an ordinary genius. Wrong. Even without that SSS-level encrypted identity, Su Yang is definitely not an ordinary genius. The 18 corpses of 3-star mutants that were killed with one sword are still vivid in my mind. Evildoer. Zhao Wei thought for a long time. Finally uttered this word. I got on the special car and returned to the Law Enforcement Bureau to continue handling related cases. Su Yang at this time. Naturally, he didn't know that his identity caused Zhao Wei, the director of the Law Enforcement Bureau, to fall into deep confusion. Because now he is trying to sense the core of the mecha. That's right, in the main world, the sensor mecha core. When he first awakened, the Mecha Master was almost completely unable to sense the existence of the mecha core. Only during the promotion test, in the metaspace of the Apocalypse system, can the existence of the mecha core be perceived when the perception is increased. According to the theory learned in school, currently, Mecha Masters all over the world agree with the same statement. The mecha core is an extremely special existence, connected to the soul of the Mecha Master. If a Mecha Master wants to become powerful, he must make the mecha core connected to his soul strong. Feel the presence of the mecha core. Su Yang tried hard. Reproduce the feeling in meta space. He had tried several times a few days ago, but in the end, they all ended in failure. Isn't it okay? During the induction process, Su Yang didn't get any response. Therefore, it is thought that the induction may have failed just like the previous times. However, just when Su Yang was about to give up this induction, suddenly, some kind of weak feeling responded. This is success. Su Yang's heartbeat accelerated instantly. But, to maintain induction, you have to work hard to maintain that state of induction. If the state is interrupted, this inductive connection should also disappear. Take a deep breath and slow down your heart rate. Calm, natural. I don't know how long it took. It might be 1 minute, it might be 10 minutes, it might be an hour. Su Yang slowly opened his eyes and saw that the shimmering light group in front of him was exactly the same as what he saw in metaspace. It is the core of the mecha. After many attempts, I finally succeeded. With joy, Su Yang tried and carefully stretched out his hand towards the core of the mecha. But when Su-Yang put his hand into the ball of light, an unprecedented feeling rushed into his mind, making Su-Yang's consciousness blur for an instant. When consciousness returns again. When Su-Yang opened his eyes again, what came into view was a space as vast and lush as the starry sky. There are no edges, no boundaries, the infinite space is filled with light points as large and small as starlight. For some reason, Su-Yang instinctively wanted to get closer to those light spots, but found that she was illusory and had no body. Is this the so-called state of the soul? The first time she encountered this situation, Su-Yang was a little confused. Forget it, never mind, let's see what those light spots do first. Regardless of whether he was a soul or something else, Su-Yang chose the light spot closest to him. This light spot is smaller and the shimmer it emits is weaker. In short, it seems to be relatively easy to obtain. Moved by thoughts, Su-Yang wanted to get closer to it. But at the same time this thought arose. A violent mental anguish spread throughout the body instantly. Su-Yang growled in pain. But while enduring mental pain, I also found that I was significantly closer to the light spot. Is this some kind of test? Su-Yang, who has always been spiritual, thought instinctively. So, after thinking about it again and again, Su-Yang gritted his teeth suddenly. Suffering severe mental pain, try to get closer again. Finally, after the torture, at the last second when I can no longer hold on, Su-Yang successfully moved to the light spot and reached out to touch it. Call out. With Su-Yang's touch, the light spot instantly disappeared into Su-Yang's eyebrows. At the same time, all the mental pain I endured before, just like solid ice encountering fire, they melt instantly and become invisible. Not only that, that strange light spot also brought an indescribable and wonderful pleasure. But, more importantly, Su-Yang was keenly aware of it. The compatibility between myself and the core of the mecha seems to have improved a lot at this moment. Under this excitement, Su-Yang still doesn't know at all what a miracle you have created. Because what he just did, it was the head teacher Lao Wang who once mentioned it. But they say that you can only learn the spiritual contracting technique after entering university. Simply relying on his talent, he understood the most important spirit contracting method of the Mecha Master. As long as you say it, the sensation it will cause will definitely be dozens or even hundreds of times greater than Su-Yang's performance in the joint entrance examination. The core compatibility of the mecha has obviously improved, but I don't know how much it has improved. After fusing that light spot, Su-Yang's spirit body took a short rest. I was originally going to continue trying to see if I could fuse another light point. Yet even that mental pain was completely erased by the previous point of light. But the exhaustion from the soul prevented Su-Yang from getting even closer to any light point. It should be reaching the limit. So thinking, Su-Yang slowly closed her eyes, exited the inductive connection state with the mecha core. When he opened his eyes again, the familiar room layout came into view, indicating that he had left that magical space and returned to reality. I stood up and felt the state of my body. Except for a little fatigue, I felt nothing else. Mecha core, Su-Yang said softly. Then the core of the mecha, which was extremely difficult to detect in the past, appeared in front of me. Really? Su-Yang's eyes lit up. Although he didn't know what the specific situation was about his experience just now, he instinctively felt that he had crossed a hurdle. Now, the fact that he can summon the mecha core so easily shows that his conclusion is correct. A thought came to my mind. The mecha core fell on Su-Yang's palm. Like telepathy, information about the core of the mecha came into my mind. Mecha core, quality S grade, fitness Samsung 18%. Mecha performance improvement factor 10. After reading these data, Su-Yang suddenly realized. It turns out that the core of the mecha also has quality. If I understand correctly, the quality of the mecha core should be directly related to the mecha master's talent. Combined with my own actual situation, well, it's quite pertinent. I just don't know what powerful talents SS level and SSS level mecha cores will bring to mecha masters. As for fit, as the name suggests, it is mecha core fit which is related to the advancement of the mecha master. Just before this, my mecha core compatibility was 13%, and now it's 18%. It means that Light Point directly increased my Mecha core compatibility by 5%. Su Yang's eyes sparkled, as if she had discovered a treasure. Although today seems to have reached the limit, there are still 10 days until the big exam. During these 10 days, if I persevere, I can endure the mental pain. Then there is a great chance to promote the Mecha core to 4 stars before the national exam. By the time 4-star Mecha core, the top pick in the country should be guaranteed. There is another item, performance improvement factor. It refers to the growth of the mecha's performance with each level up. As of now, every time my companion mecha is upgraded by 1 level, its performance increases to the greatest extent known. That is to say, so far, none of the mecha masters in the world have more talent than S. In other words, the core quality of my mechas is currently the best in the world. Think of this. Su Yang's eyes are hot. In my heart, I felt even more proud. Young man, who has never imagined that he is the son of destiny. But now, the facts before us prove that he, Su Yang, is the son of destiny. Ding. New amplification object detected. Mecha core. What's the situation? Just when Su Yang was proud of his talent, the sudden system prompt made him confused. New target for growth. Mecha core. To know. Before that, the system can only select various accessories and weapons as amplification objects. Su Yang thought that this was the full function of the system. But now it turns out that the Mecha core can also be used as an amplification target. This is great. You know, the source of power of the mecha is the core of the mecha. Regardless of the growth rate of mecha performance, that is, the mecha performance increase factor. Whether it's the mecha's maximum energy reserve or other key data, it's all related to the strength of the mecha's core. In other words, if the weapon is amplified, Su Yang can gain extremely powerful external power. For example, the energy nuclear weapon sword and magnetic storm orbital ray that have been obtained so far. So the amplified mecha core is equivalent to allowing Su Yang's own power to increase extremely horribly. What are you waiting for? See if there are any opportunities for increase, and increase it directly. Call up the system and open the Mecha Core Amplification panel. Opportunity to increase the core of low-level mechas 1,000 times, 1 million Apocalypse points. Intermediate Mecha Core Amplification Opportunity 1,000 times, 1,000 W Apocalypse points. Advanced Mecha Core Amplification Opportunity 10,000 100,000 times, 100 million Apocalypse points. Remarks: every time the Mecha Core is upgraded twice, you will get an opportunity to increase its power. Su Yang can only say, interested. As a result, a bucket of cold water was poured on me. The lowest level Mecha Core increase opportunity requires 1 million Apocalypse points. You know, 1 million Apocalypse points are enough to buy a top-level weapon amplification opportunity. But thinking about it, weapons are foreign objects after all, and the core of a mecha is the soul of a mecha master. It is normal for it to be more expensive. After recognizing the reality clearly, Su Yang began to think about the 1 million Apocalypse points he had on hand. Is it used to keep the S-level accessories that increase the national exam rewards, or is it used to increase the core of the mecha? However, at this moment, the system prompt sounded suddenly again. When you turn on Mecha Core Amplification, for the first time, you will be given a low-level Mecha Core Amplification opportunity. Su Yang, I was still struggling just now. It's okay now, no need to worry about it. That 1 million Apocalypse points are reserved for S-class accessories. Now, give me a boost. Using the low-level Mecha Core Amplification opportunity, the amplification multiplier is being extracted. The extraction is successful. Mecha Core increase 888 times. Mecha Core quality S close double angle bracket S plus. Fitness Samsung 18%. Mecha performance improvement factor 10 close double angle bracket 30. Boom. The moment the increase is completed, the Mecha Core in Su Yang's palm burst out with a dazzling light. Subsequently, the companion mecha was automatically summoned and began to receive the energy released by the core of the mecha. Finally, when the light dissipates, Su Yang's accompanying mecha has skyrocketed performance. LV.30 Companion Mecha. Energy reserve 10,000 units close double angle bracket 20,000 units. Attributes. Maximum strength 1 ton closed double angle bracket 2 tons. Maximum speed 80 meters per second closed double angle bracket 160 meters per second. Maximum damage that can be sustained 18,000 units. After reading the companion Mecha's panel, even Su-Yong himself couldn't help but sigh, it's so terrifying. You must know that before using the amplification, the performance of your mecha is already exaggerated. There should be very few Samsung Mecha masters in the world who can have mecha performance panels like their own. But now, after the increase is completed, all the performance data of the companion mecha, all were directly improved by a full 2 times. 2 times. This also means, not counting various types of equipment, accessories, and weapons. Just calculate the armor's performance and combat power. He is twice as talented as the most talented person in the world. Of course, if you want to count these, you can. Elemental nuclear weapon sword and magnetic storm orbital ray have something to say. Oh, right, wait until the national exam is over. You will also get an accessory that surpasses the SSS level. So, Destiny's Child, plus plugins. What can you do to win against me? Every time you are promoted to 2 stars, you can get an increase opportunity. When the number of amplified mecha cores increases, the combat power will increase exponentially. This increase is over. The next time will be when I am promoted to a 5-star mecha master. Then before that, we need to earn a lot of apocalypse points. Otherwise, if you can only buy low-level boosts, wouldn't it be a waste of the opportunity to boost every 2 stars? If you want to get a lot of apocalypse points, especially millions, the abyss is the only way. A shallow abyss is obviously not enough, but a deeper abyss is needed. In just a few minutes, Su-Yong has set the tone for his future development. The main battlefield will be in the depths of the abyss. But, have long-term plans. There should also be short-term goals. This goal is to win the national exam. The first place reward, S-level accessories, is bound to be yours. In the following time, in order to prepare for the upcoming national exam, Su-Yong applied to the school to prepare for the exam independently at home. This kind of application, Su-Yong dared to apply, and the school really dared to pass it. So, after successfully obtaining reasonable permission not to go to school, every day that follows, Su-Yong will first follow the method he accidentally discovered, collecting light points in the mysterious space to improve the fit of the mecha. In the process of collecting light spots, Su-Yong found that after the quality of the mecha core was upgraded from S level to S plus level, the mental pain was slightly relieved. Inferring from this, the higher the quality of the mecha's core, the easier it will be to collect special light spots. The quality of the mecha's core is also a symbol of the mecha master's talent. This successfully demonstrates that the higher the talent of a mecha master, the easier it is to improve the core fit of the mecha. 3 days later, Su-Yong successfully increased the mecha core compatibility from 3-star 18% to 3-star 38%. Among them, the special light points collected on the second day directly increased the core fit of the mecha by nearly 9%. However, as a price, the mental torture Su-Yong suffered at that time was not something that ordinary people could endure. Ding! After finishing the daily collection, Su-Yong received a message from Lao Wang, the head teacher. Lao Wang, Su-Yong, I just received a notice that at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, several top mecha universities in Daxia will jointly hold an online meeting. Those invited to the meeting are only those top talents who have achieved a 3-star or higher level of mecha core compatibility in the joint examination. According to the news received by the principal, it seems that only 11 people in Daxia's class meet the conditions. Don't forget it tomorrow. This is the invitation code for the online meeting. XXXXXXXX. An online conference held by a top mecha university. Only those whose mecha core compatibility reaches 3 stars or above in the joint examination can participate. This standard, to be honest, is a bit high. No wonder, in the entire Daxia, only 11 people met the conditions. You know, after the advent of the mecha era, Daxia's territory and population have expanded dozens of times. As one of the 3 top powers in the world today, its population reaches tens of billions. There are about 100 million college entrance examination students every year. Of the 100 million college entrance examination candidates, only 11 are qualified. The odds are 1 in 10 million. I wonder if there will be geniuses born here whose core quality of mechas exceeds that of S-class. If not, I will still be the only one. While Su Yong was thinking about it, he replied, I understand, to Lao Wang. Then, after a little preparation, he left home and headed towards the Abyss Authority. During this time, in addition to the daily Light Point collection, Su Yong will also go to the Abyss to gain experience and complete some commissioned tasks to earn Apocalypse points. Of course, the first level of the Abyss is obviously not enough. Now Su Yong is heading to the second level of the Abyss. The monsters I hunted all started from 3 stars to 4 stars. At the same time, Magic City. Wangyu Mansion, Villa number 001. As the most expensive villa area in the Magic City, those who can live here are either rich or noble. It's not enough to be a little rich and a little noble, you have to be that kind of rich and noble. Therefore, it goes without saying what the background of the family that can live in the number 1 villa in Wangyu Mansion is. At this time, the second floor of the villa. The decoration and layout here are quite special. Normally, each floor should have at least a few rooms. But in fact, there is not a single room on the second floor of this luxurious villa. The large flat floor of several hundred square meters was empty except for a huge floor-to-ceiling mirror in the center. It is this exaggerated and unique design that also highlights the family's strong financial resources. In this place where land is really precious, a stage was built so extravagantly. As the classical repertoire flows, in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling mirror, a graceful figure is dancing slowly. The black swaying long skirt made the girl's snow-white skin more conspicuous. The slender jade legs, which appear and disappear in the long skirt as the dancing posture changes, and the jade neck as white as a swan, almost make people's blood rush just by looking at it. In this era, the description of overwhelming country and beautiful city, sinking fish and falling geese, always feels a bit abrupt and embarrassing. But when placed on the girl's body, it seems so appropriate, without any violation. Buzz. The information prompt of the communication system sounded. The girl didn't care at all, but clicked on the message after the song ended and the dance was over. Sister, don't forget the online meeting at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Oh, I see. After completing the reply, the girl picked up the water glass on the side and drank it in one gulp. The dim light fell on the girl's white neck, making the jade skin oozing with fragrant sweat extremely attractive, making people want to take a bite. Murong Nyen, a senior high school student in No. 1 middle school in Modu. As the youngest daughter of the Murong family, one of the top wealthy families in Daxia. She was originally a very well-known goddess-level figure among students in the Magic City. Recently, in the joint examination, with the score of 3-star Mecha core compatibility, he powerfully defeated all the geniuses in the Magic City and attracted much attention. The genius sister mentioned by Murong Si and Yan at that time was referring to her. In today's era, as long as they are Mecha masters, they almost spend their time training themselves and trying to become stronger. She was the only one who seemed to be out of step with the times. Almost every day, she would spend an hour or two enjoying solo dancing in the huge villa. That's right, this villa. Only Murong Nyen lived alone. Are there 11 people? Murong Nyen's eyes were calm. In the Magic City, almost all geniuses lost their light in front of her. Now there are only 10 other people left who stand out from the entire Great Shah. It may be possible that they are qualified to go hand in hand with her. The next day, afternoon, 12 o'clock, the admissions directors of several top Mecha universities in Daxia started online meetings. Nowadays, technology is much more advanced than before. Online meetings are no longer video and voice meetings, but holographic projection meetings. In terms of effect, there is not much difference from real people gathering on site for on-site meetings. There is still 1 hour left before the genius meeting. The heads of top universities have connected one after another. In Daxia, the following 4 Mecha universities are truly top universities. Even among the best in the world: Longxia University, Tito University, Shanghai University, Central University. The strength of these 4 top universities is almost the same, and they all have considerable resources and strength. At this time, In online meeting, the admissions directors from 4 top universities were chatting with each other. This year, a total of 11 people achieved 3-star fitness in the joint entrance examination, which is the most in the past 10 years. Ha 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 ha, I remember last year, there seemed to be only 6 people, but the year before that, there were 8 people. Our great fortune is booming in Great Shah. The more geniuses we have, the better. By the way, have you heard about it? It seems that the superiors recently launched a secret project. It is said that the top 50 in this year's exam must pass the screening of that project before it is our turn. I've heard about it a long time ago, but I really don't know what the specific project is. What about you? That's a state secret. If I knew it, you probably wouldn't be able to see me. Ha 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 ha, it's really. By the way, Magic City is doing well this year. There are 2 geniuses who have reached 3-star standards, and one of them seems to be a girl from the Morong family. Tisk, 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 the Morong family is worthy of being a wealthy family in our Great Shah. They have talents one after another. No, our school has cooperated with Dr. Morong from the Abyss Research Institute this year and developed a brand new SS-level long-range weapon. But if you really want to say it, it has to be the imperial capital. There may not be one in the other provinces. As a result, in the imperial capital alone, there are 3 3-star compatibility. Everyone was talking to each other, and the conversation was lively. Although he knew that there was a so-called mysterious project, he needed to screen out a wave of talents. But it does not hinder their enthusiasm to recruit top talents for their respective schools. Finally, time is up. Those geniuses who came from various provinces in Daxia and received invitations joined the online meeting with the invitation code. As holographic projections appeared one after another, and everyone participating in the meeting was projected onto their respective seats, the meeting officially began. Sitting in the chair of the meeting was Professor Chu from Longxia University, who was also the main maintainer elected at this meeting. He looked around, looking at the energetic and youthful young geniuses present, his eyes full of talent-loving smiles. Everyone, I come from Longxia University, and my surname is Chu. You can just call me Professor Chu. This is Professor Wu Yang from Imperial University. This is Professor Zhang from Shanghai University. This is Professor Lin from Central University. You should have received the news before. This online meeting only invites students who have reached 3 stars in the Mecha core compatibility in the joint entrance examination of each province to participate. So, it is no exaggeration to say that everyone present is an absolute genius, the best among tens of millions of people. In the future, if nothing unexpected happens, it should become the mainstay of Daxia. In order to better understand each other, how about introducing each other? Professor Chu finished speaking. Not long after, a rather honest-looking boy scratched his head and said first. My name is Zhuang Yan, from Ancheng, Nanhai Province. Teachers and classmates, please give me your advice. Once he started, the others naturally introduced themselves. But it is said to be a self-introduction, but in fact it is just a name, province and city. After a round, the person ranked second to last was none other than Su Yang. Su Yang, from Hangzhou, Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces. After a generous introduction, many people's eyes fell on Su Yang. In fact, you can't say that, because Su Yang hasn't even opened his mouth to introduce himself. In fact, quite a few people have noticed him. Among the 11 people present, there were 4 girls and 7 boys. Among these 7 boys, Su Yang's extremely superior appearance, it is impossible not to attract attention. You must know that although everyone is a rare top genius, they are still teenagers and girls in adolescence, which is the stage where it is easiest to develop feelings for them. When you meet for the first time and you are not very familiar with each other, appearance, and temperament are the key to determining the first impression. Similar to Su Yang, there is another person. That was the last person to introduce himself, Morong Nian. Demon City, Morong Nian. If Su Yang is the most handsome among the boys present, then Morong Nian is responsible for good looks among girls. She just sat there and didn't need to say anything. Just the extremely beautiful appearance, and the family background derived from the 2 combinations of Demon City and Morong. It was enough to make her the most dazzling pearl on the scene. In comparison, the other 3 girls, they all seemed a bit overshadowed. After the 11 top geniuses including Su Yang introduced themselves, That is, the admissions officers of each university take turns introducing the advantages and areas of expertise of their respective schools. The total time spent is about an hour. After each introduction, Professor Chu and others are not in a hurry to ask everyone to express their opinions. This was originally just a meeting, just to let everyone familiarize themselves with the characteristics of the 4 top universities so that they would look familiar. Therefore, the real focus of the conference, in fact, is the exchange session after the introductions from various universities. Everyone. Professor Chu cleared his throat, looking at everyone with a smile. You are all top-notch talents with extraordinary talents, able to reach the 3-star Mecha core fitness level within 7 days after awakening. Presumably, you have a lot of your own opinions and insights on the core of the Mecha, the soul of this Mecha master, right? Or, did you encounter any confusion or doubts when perceiving the connection with the Mecha core? If there are any, you can bring them up. Although our skills are average, we may be able to answer your questions. The so-called average level is actually a statement of self-effacement. Everyone present is a big boss in their respective schools. By saying this, I just want everyone not to feel too much pressure. But, the effect is quite good. Among the 11 people present, many people have actually encountered a lot of obstacles and confusion in the process of sensing the core of the Mecha. Taking this opportunity, they naturally raised their confusions and wanted to ask the big guys to help answer them. During the whole process, only Su Yang and Marong Nian did not speak. However, without speaking, there are still some differences between the two. Although Su Yang did not ask questions, but I still listened to everyone's questions and confusion, as well as the professor's answers. Many of the contents are also helpful to Su Yang himself. After digesting them, he has benefited a lot. Look at Marong Nian again. His eyes were lowered, obviously a little uninterested. Finally, after everyone's confusion was almost answered, Professor Chu looked around and asked one last time. Everyone, are you all free of doubts? If not, then this online meeting will end here for the time being. The words finished, Su Yang fell into thinking. Although he benefited a lot from this meeting, but there is still a confusion in my heart that cannot be solved and no one has mentioned it. That was the special space that I entered by accident, and what the white light spot was. After careful consideration, Su Yang decided to ask tentatively. So, he slowly raised his hand. Su Yang, who had never spoken just now, raised his hand. Not only did Professor Chu not show any impatience, he was actually very happy and willing to answer questions. This classmate, what are you confused about? Professor Chu, I want to ask. In the core of the Mecha, is there a place similar to the metaspace in the Apocalypse system? The description of this problem is relatively vague, and it can even be said that it is a bit unclear. None of the other 9 top talents present understood what Su Yang meant. Even Marong Nian, who was always in low spirits. They all looked at Su Yang in confusion. Only 4 professors were present. After being stunned for a while, his expression suddenly changed. They looked at each other and realized the problem in each other's eyes. Afterwards, Professor Chu from Longxia University came forward and looked at Su Yang with a serious expression, changing his previous smile. Classmate Su Yang, excuse me, who told you this? Please be sure to tell the truth and not lie. See the reactions of 4 professors. Everyone present realized that something seemed wrong. They are all top talents from all over Daxia, and they obviously still have some judgment in this regard. Ever since Su Yang asked that question, the atmosphere of the entire scene changed instantly. The way these professors are so mobilizing, could it be that this matter is serious? Thinking of this, everyone looked at Su Yang, waiting for his answer. But in fact, Su Yang also did not expect that the reactions of several professors would be so great. Originally, he thought that this kind of thing might have happened to other Mecha masters in the long Mecha era. But now it seems, maybe things are not what they imagined. But, after all, I didn't do anything illegal or immoral. That strange space has nothing to do with the system it is bound to, and there is no fear of being discovered. However, Su Yang thought so. His thoughtful look. Professor Chu saw it. I mistakenly thought that Su Yang was frightened by his serious expression. So he adjusted his tone slightly, and a smile appeared on his face again. Do not worry. This matter has nothing to do with you. We just want to know who told you this matter. In the end, he bears the responsibility. What does it mean? If Su-young was a little confused at first. Now, when Professor Chu said this again, he was even more confused. What does it mean to tell his people to take responsibility? Oh, I see. It turns out that Professor Chu and the others thought so. Did someone else tell him about this? But even if that's the case, so what? Under all kinds of confusion, Su-young finally shook his head. Professor Chu, this is not what anyone told me, but my own personal experience. Quote. After Su-young finished speaking, everyone turned their attention to the four professors, wanting to see what they had to say. But I was surprised to find the four professors seemed to be petrified. He was stunned on the spot, the expression on his face was changing, and it was indescribably exciting. What's going on? The more so, the people present became more curious. Even Murong Nyen was rarely interested at this time. She always had a vague feeling that Su-young seemed to have said something extraordinary. This also made her have a deeper impression of this genius of the same age from Hangzhou. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Amidst everyone's curiosity, Professor Chu came to his senses and shook his head like a rattle. He didn't say exactly why, only that it was absolutely impossible. The other three professors present also said the same thing, with expressions of disbelief on their faces, and they wanted Su-young to reveal the real culprit behind the scenes. Su-young was really dumbfounded by this. Professors, I don't know why you are saying this, but I can only say, this is indeed my own personal experience, and I can continue to reveal some things, such as light spots. When Su-young said the word light point, he thought that the professors present would more or less believe him. But in fact, the four professors present not only did not believe Su-young, but actually became more excited. Quote. Quote. Really, I knew it. I didn't expect that today there would be people who would dare to violate the basic law of Mecha Masters and spread the spirit bonding method without authorization. We must punish him severely. Student Su-young, please don't feel pressured. Please be sure to point out the person who taught you the spirit bonding method. This is a serious crime. After listening to the aggressive words of several professors, not only Su-young, but also the other top geniuses present were stunned. Several professors. Did they mention the spirit contracting method? As the top geniuses in their respective provinces. Compared with ordinary students, their knowledge and vision are naturally broader. Therefore, they naturally also understand the so-called spirit contract method of several professors. That is an important way for the Mecha Master to enhance the core compatibility of the Mecha. However, they all have one thing in common. That is, I only know the name of Ling Ling Law, but not the content of Ling Ling Law. No matter how they asked their teachers and families, they never got any answers. Even Murong Nyen, who comes from a top wealthy family, is like this. However, the Mecha Master Basic Law was mentioned. And so-called felonies. Murong Nyen has always been smart. It seems that I finally understand something. Could it be that just now, what that guy named Su-young said, is the content of the spirit contract? After a stalemate for about a minute or two, the four professors also realized that their performance seemed a bit out of character. So in the end, the four of them decided that Professor Chu from Longxia University would answer their questions. Ahem. Professor Chu cleared his throat. After looking around at everyone, he looked extremely serious and said word by word. Everyone here is a genius among geniuses. You must have heard of the spirit contracting method before this, right? Yes, I've heard that. Zhuang Yan, who came from Nanhei province, said with confusion on his face. Obviously he had doubts about this for a long time. But I asked the teacher several times, but the teacher said I couldn't tell. He also said that I would naturally know after I get to college. To be honest, he didn't know why the teachers couldn't say that they could only study after college. The rest of the people present also nodded, indicating that they, like Zhuang Yan, had only understood this point. Seeing this, Professor Chu pushed up his glasses on the bridge of his nose and continued. Your teacher didn't introduce the spirit contracting method to you in detail, which was actually the right thing to do. Because, according to the basic law of mecha divisions, signed by the leaders of the three top countries of Daxia, Eagle American Federation, and Continental Alliance, no one is allowed to reveal any specific content about the spiritual contracting technique to mecha masters below 3 stars. The specific reason is because although the spiritual contracting method can improve the compatibility of the mecha's core, it also has certain risks. This is a relatively long history. In the earliest stages of the mecha era, the core compatibility of all mecha masters increases naturally. This stage is named pre-mecha era in today's history textbooks. In the pre-mecha era, the highest star level for a mecha master was 6 stars. Yes, all mecha masters in the world are shackled to this stage. This situation lasted until a certain genius mecha master appeared, discovered the so-called spiritual contract method, and became the first mecha master to surpass 6 stars at that time. For some reason, the spiritual contracting technique discovered by that mecha master gradually spread widely and spread all over the world, becoming a compulsory technique for every mecha master. When hearing this, Su Yang's eyes flickered slightly. The certain reasons for which this was ignored may not be a very honorable method. After all, history is always like this. It is an understatement to say it, but in fact, there is so much heartache, blood and tears behind it. In short, the history after the discovery of the contracting spirit technique is called the Chaos Mecha Era. Due to the existence of the contracting spirit technique, the level of the mecha master is no longer stagnant at 6 stars but is rising rapidly. During this stage, the strength of individual mecha masters has grown rapidly and achieved a qualitative leap. In the end, it was even able to surpass the ultimate weapon before the mecha era, the nuclear bomb. The meaning of chaos refers to the fact that at this stage, all the major countries in the world have begun corresponding expansion and conquest. In the end, the number of countries in the world has been greatly reduced. In the end, headed by our 3 core members, Great Shah, the Eagle American Federation, and the Continental Alliance, the peace agreement was signed, which stopped the chaotic war and entered the current era of peace, which is the post-mecha era. Quote, in the post-mecha era, people have begun to face up to a problem, that is, when mecha masters below 3 stars use the spiritual contract method to improve the core compatibility of mechas, there is a very high risk. According to statistics, when a 1-star mecha master uses the spiritual contract method, the chance of mental destruction is 62%. When a 2-star mecha master uses the spiritual contract method, the chance of mental destruction is 48%. Only when you reach 3-star mecha masters, this chance is reduced to 6%. So, Professor Chu paused. The look he looked at Su Yang was profound. In order to prevent new mobile armor masters from suffering massive mental damage, it is stipulated in the Mecha Master Basic Law, jointly signed by the world. No one is allowed to grant the specific contents of the spiritual contracting technique to mecha masters below 3 stars. For this reason, student Su Yang, you should also understand. The person who teaches you the spiritual contracting technique in advance is actually not helping you, but destroying you. According to Daxia regulations, anyone who violates this law will be dealt with as a felony. This is why we need to investigate further. I see. Su Yang suddenly realized. The special space that I accidentally entered, the act of collecting light spots. Is it actually the so-called spiritual contract method? But the problem is, no one really taught him the content of the spirit contracting method. This was completely realized by him. Thinking of this, Su Yang felt a little helpless. Professor Chu, although you spoke in great detail, but one thing I must explain is, this spiritual contracting technique, no one taught me, but I learned it by myself accidentally. Well, maybe it was by mistake. Professor Chu from Longxia University. Professor Zhang from Shanghai Modu University. Professor Wu Yang of Imperial University. Professor Lin from Central University. The remaining top talents present. In silence. No one believed Su Yang's statement. But, it's what if this spiritual contracting technique was truly understood by Su Yang himself. So what does this symbolize? No, this is impossible. Professor Chu directly denied this possibility. You want to know, what is the spiritual contract law? That was the key factor that allowed Blue Star to move from the pre-Mecha era to the Chaos Mecha era, thereby establishing the post-Mecha era. Without the spiritual contracting technique, the Mecha Master's level would be restricted to 6 stars and he would be unable to go any further. The strength of a Mecha Master can never surpass the once ultimate weapon, the nuclear bomb. So, if we talk about the history of the Mecha era, the most powerful Mecha Master is not the mysterious genius who discovered the spiritual contracting technique. But when it comes to being the most genius, the most evil, and the most important Mecha Master, the mysterious genius who discovered the spiritual contracting technique deserves the title. Now, this boy from Hangzhou, that he understood the spiritual contracting method on his own. Absolutely impossible. During the joint entrance examination, the core compatibility of the Mecha reached 3 stars. This result is enough to illustrate his genius. This is absolutely undeniable. But this kind of genius is still far behind compared to comprehending the spiritual contracting method on your own. Let's take a look at this year's college entrance examination students. In addition to Su Yang himself, there are 10 people who have reached this level of genius. But since the advent of the Mecha era, the only person who has independently understood the spiritual contracting method is that mysterious genius. Can this be compared? This is absolutely incomparable. Therefore, Professor Chu did not believe it at all. This was something Su Yang realized by himself. Do you believe it? He looked at the other professors beside him. They serve as top professors in various top universities. In normal times, there may be many academic or cognitive differences. But this time, not surprisingly, they are on the same front and share a common understanding. Absolutely impossible. So, here comes the problem. Since it is impossible for Su Yang to understand the spiritual contract method on his own, then why does he still want to protect the guy who violated the basic law of Mecha Masters? Is it because the relationship is too close? But I have already made it very clear. The other party did this not to help Su Yang, but to destroy him. After all, he is one of the most outstanding and favored people in the world. Could it be that he can't even see this clearly? Thinking of this, Professor Chu sighed and looked at Su Yang. Although I don't know why you want to cover up the other party, we must also fulfill our supervisory responsibilities. I will contact the Hangzhou Law Enforcement Bureau to investigate. When it comes to this, Professor Chu suddenly stopped. The corners of his eyes twitched slightly, and his pupils narrowed suddenly. Because he suddenly discovered a blind spot. If it was really someone who violated the basic law of Mecha Masters, and told Su Yang the contents of the spiritual contract law, then the other party will definitely warn Su Yang not to leak this matter. Otherwise, wouldn't it be tantamount to being directly exposed? Look at Su Yang again. No matter from which angle you look at it, he is a standard top talent. Whether it is his speech or behavior, he has an aura that is different from others. Would such a person be so stupid as to say such a thing directly? This is obviously impossible. So, could it be? He really realized this by himself. As a professor at a top university, he hardly ever said any bad words. But after thinking that this possibility was true, he simply couldn't help it. If this is the case, what level of genius does this have to be able to comprehend the spiritual contracting technique on its own before being promoted to a 3-star Mecha Master? You must know that no matter what the mysterious genius at that time was, he only realized the spiritual contracting technique after reaching the 6-star bottleneck. Now, Su Yang has advanced 4 levels directly. Don't be so exaggerated. The more I think about it, the more outrageous it feels. By the end, I even felt like my heart was about to burst out of my chest. He coughed lightly and glanced at the other 3 professors around him without trace. He was planning to continue pretending and temporarily prove that Su Yang's remarks were false in front of everyone. Thus, wait until the online meeting ends. You can talk to Su Yang alone. Such a heaven-defying evil genius. No one can steal it away except Long Sha. Correct. Wait until the meeting is over. I must talk to the principal first. This is an event that is enough to shock the entire Great Sha. To be honest, he felt a lot of pressure. However, Professor Chu can think clearly. The other professors, don't they think clearly? Previously, it was just because of their instincts accumulated through decades of common sense that they did not even think about the possibility of understanding the spiritual contracting method on their own. But after calming down and making the exact same inference as Professor Chu, they suddenly realized that they were too superficial. Since that mysterious genius suddenly appeared at that time and understood the spiritual contracting method, who can guarantee that no one more talented than him will step forward? If that person happens to be Su Yang, if they missed it, wouldn't they have become sinners? Well, our online meeting today will end here for now. Su Yang, regarding your matter, I must have a detailed discussion with you. Violating the basic law of Mecha Masters is not a trivial matter. Professor Chu was talking pretentiously, while Professor Zheng from Shanghai University of Finance and Economics grabbed the conversation. Su Yang, don't listen to this guy. When I first saw you, I felt that you were a very honest child and you should not lie. What about that, Su Yang? Let me tell you, our Central University, our Imperial University. In an instant, the situation changes suddenly. The rest of the people present were stunned for a moment. What's going on here? Didn't I say that just now? Su Yang was bewitched by others to investigate who leaked the contents of the spirit contracting law to him in advance. Why did several professors suddenly start fighting over Su Yang? What are they and what? Some people don't understand. But someone gets it. That person is Murong Nian. She turned her head and looked at Su Yang beside her unabashedly. He seems to be thinking about something. And Su Yang also felt the same. The moment he turned his head, he met Murong Nian's eyes. If it were an ordinary girl, if she found that her gaze was noticed, she would definitely look away, panic, or pretend to be calm. But Murong Nian didn't. The girl's beautiful face, those clear and clean eyes. He just looked at Su Yang with no intention of moving away. Su Yang. Suddenly, the girl's lips and teeth moved slightly. He whispered Su Yang's name. But his eyes were still calm, and there was no expression on his face. I remember you. ... To this, Su Yang seemed to be silent for a while. Then he smiled back. Murong Nian, I remember you too. This time, Murong Nian was slightly startled. But soon, she withdrew her gaze and stopped looking at Su Yang, but she didn't know what she was thinking. ... Because several professors were really noisy. In the end, online meetings can only end temporarily. However, even if the online meeting is over, this matter is far from over. Whether it is Professor Chu or the other professors, they all immediately reported to the principals of their respective schools the fact that Su Yang might have understood the spiritual contracting technique on his own. In this era, although the spiritual contract method is nothing new. But look beyond the surface. If Su Yang can really understand the spiritual contracting method on his own, still at such a low level, his potential would be extremely terrifying. This kind of talent even goes beyond the simple mecha talent, but the so-called understanding, the value of which cannot be described in words at all. Within a very short period of time, Yangtze University, Tito University, Moto University, Central University, the principals of the 4 top universities in Daxia learned about Su Yang's existence from the 4 admissions directors. To be able to become the principal of a top university, whether in terms of one's own strength, or one's vision, knowledge, judgment and other abilities, one is undoubtedly at the level of a boss. Therefore, they know very well, if this thing is true, if Su Yang can really understand the spiritual contracting method on his own, then it can only be described in one sentence: shocking the world, weeping ghosts and gods. So, no matter what method you use, you should try your best to bring him to your school. But before that happens, it needs to be verified. Verify whether Su Yang's statement is true. As for how to verify, it's very simple. The essence of spiritual contract. It is to collect light points in the special space mentioned by Su Yang. That light spot is the spirit produced by the core of the mecha. And this process is the contract of the contract. Low-level mecha masters cannot independently open up the spirit space. A high-level mecha master is needed to lead the way and help it open up with his own strength. Therefore, if Su Yang opens the spirit space with the help of others, 2 different sources will be detected in his core energy. It is precisely because of this characteristic that there is such a test procedure in the national examination. If two different energy sources are found, it means that this candidate has been granted the spirit contracting technique in advance to open up the spirit contracting space. Not only will the candidate himself be disqualified from the exam, but subsequent investigations will also be able to trace the identity of the grantor and sentence him. As for how to remove the energy of the guide, that is the content of Core Energy Purification in the university. This course requires at least a 5-star Mecha Master to complete the course. Therefore, it is easy to verify Su Yang's statement. Test first, and then everyone will rob people based on their abilities. This is the consensus reached by the presidents of the 4 universities. So the day the offline meeting ends, in order to verify the accuracy of the results, Professor Chu and others took 4 sets of instruments directly from their respective schools and rushed to Hangzhou in a hurry. Not long after the offline meeting ended, as soon as Su Yang disconnected, a message came from the communication system. When he learned that 4 professors were about to arrive in Hangzhou to test him, he didn't have much reaction. Just test. If you are upright, you are not afraid of slanted shadows. Afternoon. 4 professors visited as scheduled. After playing with the instruments in a big way, the test began. The first testing instrument. Test result. Single source energy. Gulu. After seeing the results, several professors looked at each other, swallowed in shock. At the same time, adrenaline surged instantly. The heart also beat rapidly. These testing instruments have never had errors for decades. The results of a test instrument can actually explain some problems. But, just to be on the safe side, the second, the third, until the 4th test instrument, do it all again. Half an hour later, the 4 professors looked at the identical test results on the 4 instruments. They all understood from each other's eyes. They may be about to witness the birth of a miracle. Now, all it takes is final proof. Su Yang has indeed mastered spiritual contracting technique. So, shocking the world, weeping ghosts and gods. It is no longer an empty talk. At the same time, the entire Daxia University community, everyone will be completely shocked by this young man. As for how to test whether Su Yang has mastered the spiritual contracting method, it is even simpler. After all, the 4 of them came prepared. In addition to instruments that test the types of energy sources, instruments for testing the core fit of the mecha were naturally brought over. Classmate Su Yang, have you done any spiritual contracting in recent times? If so, we can rest in Hangzhou for a few days first, and then conduct the test when you have recovered enough for the next spirit bonding. Professor Chu, one of the 4, asked cautiously. Now the 4 of them have almost believed in Su Yang. Even the look in Su Yang's eyes became hotter. It's like looking at one's priceless treasure and fearing it will disappear in the blink of an eye. Hear the words. Su Yang nodded thoughtfully. I conducted the bound spirit yesterday, but not yet today, so if the professors are not busy right now, they can conduct the test. No, we are just here to test you. How could you be busy? Wait. After listening to Su Yang's words, Professor Chu, he originally waved his hand with a smile on his face. But suddenly, I seemed to realize that something was not quite right. The eyes behind the glasses were wide open, and he shouted as if he had seen a ghost. What did you just say? I said if several professors are busy now. No, the previous sentence. But not today. One more sentence. I performed the spirit contract yesterday. Yes, that's it. Professor Chu looked at Su Yang in disbelief. The look of shock on his face was not concealed at all. But in fact, not only him, but the other 3 professors present also looked shocked at this time. You just performed the spirit contract yesterday. Can you still perform the spirit contract today? Don't you need to rest for a few days? No need, I've been doing it every day these days. What's wrong? Quote. Silence. There was a long silence. Finally, the 4 of them looked at each other and smiled. But this smile is a bitter smile, a helpless smile. Although a few people are responsible for admissions work, but in fact they are all top professors. His own strength is naturally strong enough. In terms of level alone, they are all 6-star Mecha Masters. So they naturally stepped up from low-level mecha masters step by step. They are very familiar with the spirit contracting method. But recalling those years, every time you perform a spiritual contract, they have to suffer torture, then rest for several days, and then grit their teeth and continue the hard days. It can be said that they all vividly remember it. Now, on the other hand, Su Yang, I just had a spiritual bonding yesterday, can I do it again today? This is still a human being. But feelings are feelings. Testing still needs to continue. Before carrying out the Ling contract, we conducted a test first. Test result, Samsung 38%. 4 people. Rubbed his eyes. Are you sure you read it correctly? Samsung. 0.38%. Immediately, they pulled up Su Yang's joint entrance exam results. Mecha core compatibility, 3 stars 2%. How long has it been since the joint entrance examination? It seems like it's only about 10 days, right? Result. Su Yang's mecha core fit. It soared by 36%. Senseless. Now he was completely confused. There's no need to even test. In such a short period of time, no matter how talented you are, it's impossible to reach this level just by relying on the natural growth of the mecha's core compatibility, right? However, Su Yang hadn't realized how much of a shock he had given the 4 of them. It wasn't until he asked if he could start the spiritual contract. The 4 of them barely recovered from the shock. But, of course, look, it's hard to say anything. Simply because Su Yang shocked them so hard. Wave after wave. The point is, every wave is tsunami size. If the 4 of them hadn't seen many big scenes, they might not be able to bear it. After an hour, when Su Yang opened his eyes again, he stretched out his hand to wipe away the slight sweat on his forehead. Once again, a mecha core fit test was conducted. Test result, Samsung 44%. Within an hour, the degree of fit directly increased from 38% to 44%. What the hell are you even looking at? Except for the spirit contract method. What else can be done? Shocking the world, weeping ghosts and gods. Su Yang did it. Classmate Su Yang, your talent, to be honest, I don't even know how to describe it in words. If you can, please give more consideration to our Longxia University. We have the best. Student Su Yang, our central university has great strength. We at Modu University have the most advanced teaching methods and concepts. Our Imperial University. 10 minutes later. After promising to think carefully about which university to choose, Su Yang finally saw off these enthusiastic professors. Finally clean. Su Yang took a deep breath. He had anticipated in advance that he would be sought after by top universities. But I didn't expect that their enthusiasm exceeded my imagination. The mecha core compatibility reached 42%. If nothing else happens, we should be able to achieve a 4-star fit before the big exam. I got up, went to the refrigerator, opened a can of Coke, and drank a few gulps. I glanced at the sky outside the window and saw that it was getting late. Just now, another spirit contract was carried out. I'm really tired now. Just go to bed early. After leaving Su Yang's residence, the 4 professors each returned to their corresponding institutions. For the first time, without caring about anything, they went directly to their respective principals and explained to them what they had seen and heard today. Indeed, you can understand the spirit contract method on your own. Be able to perform spiritual contracting every day. The harvest of a contract spirit is as high as 6%. I'll be a good boy. During retelling, several people still felt that they had not recovered. Not to mention the presidents of major universities who just heard the news. At last, I don't know if it's a tacit understanding or a coincidence. 4 top universities thousands of kilometers apart. In the principal's office, the 4 professors who witnessed the miracle uttered this word at the same time. Monster. That's right. Thousands of words. Combined into one sentence, used to describe Su Yang. That's what this is, the monster. Because this is beyond their knowledge. It is completely unlike a terrifying talent that normal humans can achieve. Not a monster, what is it? At this rate, in the big exam, he should be able to reach the 4-star mecha core fitness level. By then, he will create a record in the history of Daxia. Such a monster has never been seen before. As the saying goes, the gap between ordinary people and geniuses is wider than the gap between humans and dogs. But there is also a gap between genius and genius. Sometimes this gap is even more difficult to overcome. Magic City, Wangyu Mansion, huge villa. It seems a little cold. In the room, Marong Yan was wearing gauze pajamas and lying on the bed. Even though she turned 18 this year, her curvy figure is already extremely coveted. The cold moonlight shone through the window and fell on her skin, giving her a cold and sacred temperament. Su Yang, Marong Yan's beautiful eyes twinkled. Thinking back to the young man I met during today's online meeting. None of the other people at that time could arouse her interest. Only Su Yang is an exception. The next day, Su Yang gets up early. He glanced at the communication system. The 4 top universities sent me a lot of messages. Almost all of them promised themselves certain conditions. After a brief glance, the conditions given by the 4 are almost the same. Forget it, thinking about this so early in the morning is a bit tortuous. After politely replying to all 4 accounts, Su Yang left his residence and headed towards the Abyss Jurisdiction Bureau. As usual, teleport through the Abyss, headed to the 2nd level of the Abyss. A day of hunting and commissioning began. Have to say, after increasing the Mecha core, the performance of the Mecha has been improved by 2 times in all aspects, which is great. The current energy reserve is 2 W units. Can use energy nuclear sword and magnetic storm orbital ray twice. At the same time, the force started to be measured in tons, reaching a full 2 tons. The speed exceeded 100 meters per second and reached 160 meters per second, which is nearly half the speed of sound. This way, even on the 2nd level of the Abyss, I encountered a 4-star monster. Su Yang can also kill at will. And this time, my classmates, still fighting a 1-star monster. As for the so-called top geniuses, who participated in online meetings with him. Killing a 2-star monster would definitely be fine, but killing a 3-star monster would probably be too much. That's the difference. The gap between him, Su Yang, and the other top talents. The 2nd floor of the Abyss. Su Yang is running in the wilderness. The commission he just accepted required hunting down 5 4-star monsters, thunder wolves. This kind of monster has a crystal core that releases the power of thunder in its body and can cause thunderstorm attacks. It is considered a very troublesome type of monster. But Su Yang, who is now a LV.30 Mecha Master, uses the S+ 3-star Mecha Core Driver double pulse light shield to withstand its thunderstorm attack without any pressure. So, the famous Ben Lei Wolf could only be chased away by Su Yang. Far away, behind the Shadow Hills, a Mecha Master stared at Su Yang closely, with a look of shock on his face. No wonder you asked me to come. This guy's strength is simply not what a 3-star Mecha Master can possess. A monster, a complete monster. The man's name is Xiao Yuan, affiliated to the Ascension to Glory organization. The man in the black windbreaker was a member of the organization at that time. And Xiao Yuan was one of the men in the black windbreaker. The doctrine of Ascension to Glory. Although I despise the power of mechas. But as the situation required. At present, there are still many members who have not completed the mecha stripping. Xiao Yuan is one of them, with the strength of a 5-star Mecha Master. But if this mission can be completed successfully, he will be able to obtain the qualifications, peel off the core of the mecha, and wait for his ascension. Thinking of this, Xiao Yuan's eyes flashed with enthusiasm, which was exactly the same as the muscular man who destroyed the Abyss stability box at the Z1-124 temporary base on the 1st floor of the Abyss. The 5th Thunder Wolf, finished. After killing a total of 5 Thunder Wolves, the mission ends. Step forward and take out the crystal core from the Thunder Wolf's body. Open the commissioning platform of Tianqi system. Upload items and complete the commission. Got 50,000 Tianqi points. Earning points this way is still too slow after all. Looking at the 50,000 Tianqi points recorded, Su Yang sighed. The opportunity to increase the core of mechas requires 1 million apocalypse points for low-level ones. This 50,000 points is simply a drop in the bucket. Of course, This is death by drought and death by waterlogging. 50,000 points is a huge amount of money for any new mobile armor master. In other words, in Su Yang's eyes, it's nothing. However, just when Su Yang was about to end the day's experience and return to the temporary base and the main world, an almost instinctive premonition made him leave his original position as quickly as possible without thinking. Boom! The next second Su Yang opened the distance. The aftermath of the energy explosion, throwing up several meters of smoke and dust. Wait until the smoke gradually dissipates. The huge crater with a radius of nearly 10 meters showed the terrifying power of the blow just now. This is, someone attacks me. Su Yang's heart sank, but she didn't panic. As he searched with his eyes, he saw the Mecha Master's figure slowly approaching him not far away. Someone comes. It was Xiao Yuan. As a 5-star Mecha Master, he knows it very well. No matter how abnormal Su Yang's talent is. I don't even know why, but he has nearly 4-star strength. But, between 5-star and 4-star Mecha Masters, there is an insurmountable gap. He has that confidence. No matter what kind of backup Su Yang has, he was able to complete the task and capture him alive. After being captured alive, you only need to use the temporary teleportation device recently developed by the organization to leave the abyss and teleport back to the organization's base. As for support, he wasn't worried at all. In the abyss, due to special environmental reasons, there are communication signals only at the main base or near the temporary base. In this place, which is nearly 100 miles away from the temporary base, Su Yang simply complains that the sky is not responding and the earth are not working. Think of this. He has always been arrogant by nature. First, he gave Su Yang a middle finger. Then, he pointed at his wrist with his other hand. Over there, the 5 rings of light were spinning quietly. That means, I am a 5-star Mecha Master. No matter how hard you play tricks, I'm not afraid at all. However, what surprised Xiao Yuan was, this mission goal is called Su Yang. Not only did he not show any panic, he tried to escape. He didn't attack himself, but just stood there. Then, he took out an energy lightsaber from his waist. Energy lightsaber. Xiao Yuan frowned. This thing, an A-level weapon, is pretty cool. But the problem is, the distance between the two is now nearly several hundred meters. You get a melee weapon, isn't that funny? Take 100 steps back. Even if I stand and chop it for you, then you have to be able to cut it, right? Thinking of this, Xiao Yuan wanted to laugh inexplicably. Could it be that he is out of his mind? Xiao Yuan thought. In fact, you can't blame him at all. In the world of Mecha Masters, the higher the level, the greater the gap in combat power across a level. For example, a 2-star Mecha Master may not be much better than a 1-star Mecha Master. 3-star Mecha Masters are much stronger than 2-star Mecha Masters, but their strength is also limited. But, if you go further up, this gap will be infinitely magnified. As the level increases, the magnification factor will become more exaggerated. Like an 8-star Mecha Master, able to unleash nuclear explosion level attacks. But a 7-star Mecha Master, an attack that can only unleash the power of an intercontinental missile. The gap in combat power between the two is not an order of magnitude. Therefore, although the gap in combat power between 5-star Mecha Masters and 4-star Mecha Masters is not that huge. But, Su Yang himself is not a 4-star Mecha Master, but only a 3-star Mecha Master with 4-star strength. So Xiao Yuan has every reason to despise Su Yang. After all, who the hell could have thought? Can a 3-star Mecha Master possess nuclear explosion level SSS level weapons? In this regard, well, I don't blame Xiao Yuan. Then, Xiao Yuan seemed to be watching a joke. Watching Su Yang gently cut off the energy lightsaber in his hand, then turned around and ran away. He couldn't even hold back his laughter. Ah! What is this? Are you trying to intimidate me? Just when Xiao Yuan suppressed his laughter, he planned to drive the accelerator to catch up with Su Yang and end the mission neatly. His mecha detection system suddenly sounded an alarm extremely violently. Xiao Yuan raised his head in confusion, but all he saw was a seemingly inconspicuous ball of light falling towards him. Why did the alarm system fail at this time? Xiao Yuan spat. The alarm system was temporarily turned off. Otherwise, the noisy people will be annoyed. But, What is that light group? That kid, did he even transform the energy light sword? Make it really capable of unleashing long-range attacks? However, if that's all, quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. In an instant, Xiao Yuan didn't even have time to think about his next thought. That ball of light suddenly exploded in front of his eyes. The terrifying energy released subsequently let his entire body be annihilated in less than 0.0001 seconds. There was no shock, no pain, no thought of getting rich. Because the time that this destructive energy annihilated him was not enough for him to have such an idea. Boom! As the attack of Yuan Nang nuclear sword erupted behind him, the terrifying energy fluctuated. Everyone within a few hundred kilometers of the surrounding area raised their heads, and then they saw the heart-stopping mushroom cloud. God! Some people stared blankly at the mushroom cloud of destruction and murmured. But the next second, after coming back to his senses, he immediately overloaded the acceleration device and quickly escaped from the center of the explosion. Due to the time delay of the nuclear explosion attack of Yuan Nang nuclear sword. This delay time has allowed Su Yang, who is close to the speed of sound, to fly an extremely long distance after overloading the energy flame acceleration device. However, this distance will still be affected by the energy fluctuations of the nuclear explosion, so Su Yang does not dare to stop at all, nor can he look back at the spectacular scene he created, and can only continue. Finally, after flying out of the scope of the nuclear explosion, Su Yang stopped and looked back at the mushroom cloud that had not yet dissipated. The light was calm. You said, "What are you doing to provoke me? When I catch you, none of you can escape." After watching for a few seconds, Su Yang turned around and headed back to the temporary base. It was as if creating a nuclear war was just a trivial matter in his eyes. At the same time, nuclear explosion level energy fluctuations occurred on the second level of the abyss. He was quickly noticed by the Abyss Authority. What's going on? Zheng Angguo, director of the Hangzhou Abyss Jurisdiction Bureau, jumped up from his chair again. The last time such a nuclear explosion level energy fluctuation occurred, according to Dr. Yan, it was due to the collapse of the mutated abyss crack. If you say this, doesn't it mean that the last abyss crack also appeared on the second level of the abyss? It's just that, just like last time, it's unstable, and then. After thinking about it for a while, Zheng Angguo went to the testing room. The testing personnel in the testing room reported the situation to him. The Z1-2 main base on the second floor of the abyss and the nearby temporary base did not have any problems. The place where the energy fluctuation of the nuclear explosion occurred was quite far away from the main base and the temporary base. That's good. Zheng Angguo took a deep breath. Last time, the temporary base number 24 on the first level of the abyss was destroyed and attacked, which was still a nightmare that haunted him. Since that time, the Law Enforcement Bureau has strengthened supervision of the entrance to the abyss, and there should be no attackers entering the abyss in a short period of time. Unless there is something wrong within the enforcement agency, which is obviously unlikely. After coming back to his senses, Zheng Angguo gave an order to the Z1-2 main base, asking them to wait until the energy fluctuation was over and go to investigate the situation. Hangzhou Abyss General Administration, Transmission Channel. Su Yang, who had just teleported back to the main world from the temporary base, suddenly saw a familiar figure. This is that aloof beauty that I met last time when I was in line. Su Yang was slightly startled. I vaguely remember last time. With one phone call, she asked the main base to test the student first so that he could catch up with the joint entrance examination in time. Thinking about it now, her status should be quite high. Otherwise, how could such a thing be accomplished? Suddenly discovered. Among the girls I have met so far, the most beautiful girl is the girl named Murong Jin. The second most beautiful person is the cold beauty in front of me. When Su Yang looked at Yan naturally noticed Su Yang. In a crowd, handsome men and beautiful women always attract attention easily. What's more, Su Yang, who took first place in the joint examination last time, left a deep impression on Yan. And the reason why Yan appears here, it's because the last data sample collected has been consumed. So she returned to Hangzhou from the imperial capital, planning to continue collecting some experimental materials. No, she had just returned to the main world from the void ruins of temporary base number 24 on the first floor of the Abyss when she met Su Yang. But, the main identity is Dr. Yan of the Abyss Research Institute, not the Abyss Face Selection Officer. So, she just glanced at Su Yang, then turned and left. After Yan left, Su Yang naturally had no reason to stay any longer. After all, the nuclear explosion on the second level of the Abyss was his own fault. Although no one would associate a student like himself, who had just awakened, with a horrific nuclear explosion. But fleeing from the scene of the crime, after all, it is a kind of respect for the middle finger brother. Hangzhou Abyss Jurisdiction Bureau, a temporary laboratory specially prepared for Yan. Yan was just about to sort out the materials she had just collected, when someone came and knocked on the door. Yan had no choice but to temporarily put down the materials and go to open the door. "What's up?" Yan reached out and pushed the broken hair on her forehead behind her ears. The eyes behind those gold-rimmed glasses were cold and distant. "Drive Yan. Well, the director asked me to come over and tell you." On the second floor of the Abyss, the same thing as last time seems to have happened. The female assistant who was arranged by Zheng Angguo to tell Yan about this matter could not speak fluently under Yan's oppressive gaze. Hearing this, Yan was slightly startled, and then said, "You go back and tell Director Zheng, I will come right away." Quote, Okay, Dr. Yan. The female assistant ran away as fast as she could. Yan turned a blind eye, turned back to the laboratory, changed out of her lab coat, and headed towards the director's office. Director's office. After Yan came here, she met Zheng Angguo. "Director Zheng, what's going on?" Yan, who always got straight to the point, asked directly. As such that, Zheng Angguo handed the various data reports and energy level fluctuation records that had just been sent back from the second level of the Abyss to Yan, and said at the same time, "Not long ago, the same nuclear explosion level energy impact occurred on the second level of the Abyss as the last time on the first level of the Abyss. I suspect that the same Abyss crack appeared on the second floor of the Abyss as last time, but it was also unstable, causing the collapse." Hearing this, Yan frowned and looked at the data charts in her hands one by one. The above detection data is almost the same as the data from the last level of the Abyss. Whether it is the peak and trough diagram of energy, or the range and duration of the nuclear explosion impact, they are almost exactly the same. "Drive Yan, here is the analysis data from last time." Zheng Angguo turned around and brought the information from the last time. He was about to hand it to Yan, but the latter waved his hand and refused. "No need, I remember, it is indeed the same data." Zheng Angguo, although he had already heard about Yan, knowing that she is the famous abyssal genius of the General Administration Research Institute. Well done. But she didn't know that she actually had such a terrifying photographic memory ability. "I admire it, I really admire it." When Zheng Angguo was lost in thought, Yan was thinking while recalling the data in her memory. The last crack in the Abyss, if nothing else, is the passage from the deep depths of the Abyss to the shallow depths of the Abyss for those apostles of the Abyss. The collapse of the abyssal rift last time meant the failure of their experiment. It turned out that not long ago, another experiment was conducted. This frequency is too frequent. During the analysis, Yan thought of what the director once said. In Sakura, there are already apostles of the Abyss, who have invaded the main world from the Abyss. It seems that the Abyssal Facer plan is indeed necessary to be implemented. Mend the borders of the Abyss. If nothing else, it will be a very important thing in the future. Thinking of this, Yan thought. Su Yang's figure appeared inexplicably. If his abyssal compatibility test passes, he should be selected to become the first batch of members of the Abyssal Ones. Etc. Yan suddenly discovered. Last time, Su Yang was there when the abyss crack collapsed. This time, Su Yang was there when the abyss crack collapsed. What a coincidence. It seems, now he seems to be really connected to the abyss. However, that's about it. Even if it was Yan, he just regarded the fact that Su Yang was present when the abyss crack collapsed twice as a coincidence. After all, no matter what kind of terrifying talents Su Yang showed, it was absolutely impossible to be associated with nuclear explosion level energy fluctuations. The gap between the two cannot be bridged by talent. If the description is more specific, it would be: do you think a newborn baby, no matter how strong his physical fitness is, can blow up a city with one punch? It's obviously impossible. Put away the data of the second nuclear explosion. And Yan thought for a while and decided to go to the second floor of the abyss for observation. Her original purpose of coming to Hangzhou was to study the abnormal abyss crack. But later, due to the destruction of abyss box number Z the 1st of January 24, her attention was attracted to the ruins of the void. Now, there is still plenty of time before the reconstruction project of the abyss box, and she has enough time to conduct additional research on the abyss crack. Of course, this thing about the abyss crack. For a research geek like Yan, this is a good thing. But for director Zheng Angguo, it was a huge headache. First the first level of the abyss, now the second level of the abyss. Who knows what will happen next? But no matter what, there is nothing that can be done now. The only thing is to strengthen abyss monitoring and personnel detection. Hangzhou, an inconspicuous building. This is the branch of Ascending Glory in Hangzhou. Speaking of which, although the organization was founded not long ago, but it's because of the weirdness of its teachings, growing at an unimaginable speed. The organization's mission, summarized in the following sentences: mechanical decay, flesh and blood will last forever. Strip off the core, waiting for ascension. In today's Mecha era, although Mecha masters and ordinary people coexist peacefully, everything seems to be stable and orderly. But in fact, it is undeniable that any Mecha master, even if he has the worst talent, can only reach 2 or 3 stars in his lifetime. They are still qualitatively different from ordinary people. Because of this era, it's called the Mecha Age. Mecha masters are undoubtedly the group of people who stand at the top of society. However, how many people in the world are Mecha masters? According to statistics from the World Mecha Masters Association, the number of Mecha masters among the human population in the world only accounts for less than 8%. In high schools in Hangzhou, it seems that senior students have a higher awakening rate. But in fact, this is because Hangzhou, as the central city of Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces, houses high-quality students from the surrounding cities. For example, in other cities in Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces, the awakening rate of high school students is much lower than that of schools in Hangzhou. This leads to, in this world, the Mecha Master group has mastered extremely powerful strength. But after all, they are still a very small minority. Those ordinary people who make up 92% of the world. Don't you crave power? So, to abandon the Mecha, peel off the core, and advocate the power of flesh and blood, ascension glory. Just like moss growing wildly in the darkness, it gradually covers the dark corners of various countries. Of course, except for ordinary people who crave power. In Ascension to Glory, there is also a certain number of Mecha Masters. They are all people who are desperate because they cannot feel the hope of being promoted again in the promotion path of Mecha Masters. For example, Xiao Yuan was sent by the man in black trenchcoat to capture Su Yang alive. As a 5-star Mecha Master, he has only been stagnant at this stage for less than 10 years. As a Mecha Master, he clearly felt through his Mecha core that this was his limit. In this way, he wants to gain stronger power and break through this limit. Then he became a member of Ascension Glory. But, if only the teachings were like this. Ascension to Glory is absolutely impossible to attract so many people to join. Ultimately, it's because of the miraculous bioscience technology of Ascending Glory. Wrong. It should be called Abyss Energy Biotechnology. As another world coexisting with the main world, the power of the monsters and abyssal beasts in the abyss is no less powerful than that of the Mecha Masters. However, they don't have any mechas, no mecha cores, and no mecha weapons. What they rely on is the pure and incomparable flesh and blood power of Jinping's origin. So, Ascension to Glory uses various abyssal beasts as templates. Numerous experiments, research and development, and transformations have been carried out with no expense spared. Finally, recently, the first Abyss Energy Transformation experiment was completed. Although as a first successful experiment, the strength of the experimental body is still relatively weak. But, this is indeed a landmark change. This means ascension to glory. The so-called flesh and blood last forever. It will no longer be just a beautiful fantasy. At the same time, it also means they have the capital to compete with the Mecha masters. For example, the X111 and X222 mentioned by the round-faced man with glasses last time are both X-series abyssal potions. This medicine can deconstruct and reorganize human muscles, cells, fibers, etc. The strength of human flesh and blood is violently enhanced. This makes it comparable to the beasts of the abyss. However, the X-series of abyssal potions all have a shortcoming. That is, it will affect the user's brain nerve center. Obviously, those mutants who have taken the X-series of potions, thereby enhancing the strength of their flesh and blood, do not have very good brain function. Only by injecting neural pheromones and assigning them an instruction or task goal can they follow it. You can say that X-series abyssal potion. In fact, it was developed DBFJ by Ascension Glory and used to make cannon fodder. Although the word cannon fodder may not sound nice, it is the truth. The X-series of drugs have the disadvantage of causing damage to the brain's nerve center. In exchange for the advantages of low cost, mass production. Good smell. Of course, there are experimental products like the X-series that are specially used to make cannon fodder. Similarly, there are also core potions plus O-series abyss potions that truly comply with the teachings of Ascension to Glory. The O-series abyssal potions have no shortcomings of the X-series abyssal potions and will not have any impact on the human brain nerve center. But, due to extremely harsh research and manufacturing conditions, the O-series abyssal potion has been successfully developed, and only the core personnel of Ascension Glory are qualified to know and inject it. For example, the man in the black trench coat. His name is He Lang. He was not from the Hangcheng branch, but someone who came from the imperial capital to inspect the Hangcheng branch. The man with round face and glasses, named Chen Donglai, is the head of the R&D department in Hangzhou. Ascension to Glory has great ambitions and wants to create a batch of combat forces that can be mobilized in real time in major core cities. Therefore, each core city has a secret research base. The tasks assigned by the superiors are required for each research base. All must be able to produce X-series abyssal potions in large quantities. At the same time, the person in charge of the branch research base. If a higher level 10 series abyssal potion can be developed, then you can go to the headquarters and obtain the qualification to inject O-series abyssal medicine. At this time, Ascension to Glory Hangcheng branch. He Lang is waiting for news about Xiao Yuan. He raised his wrist and circled the time. In 1 hour, it will be the task deadline he set for Xiao Yuan. As a 5-star Mecha master, there should be no problem in capturing alive a student who has just awakened, right? This is the candidate He Lang sent after considering it. He had a premonition. That genius named Su Yang. The real combat power should be stronger than it appears on the surface. The mutant who was injected with the X222 Abyss potion last time and whose physical strength was comparable to a 4-star Mecha Master was not killed by him. But, who can guarantee that he has not hidden his strength? He Lang's sinister eyes flickered. He understood people's hearts too well. Those so-called geniuses, more or less, will definitely hide part of their strength. Thereby, want to show it at some point in the future. Either to show off one's holiness, or to save one's life. In short, it is the so-called trump card. That being the case, then I will send a 5-star Mecha Master. In this way, no matter what trump card you have, it will be in vain under the crushing force of absolute strength. Think of this. A trace of expectation flashed in He Lang's eyes. According to the analysis of the organization's headquarters Research Institute, the more talented a person is, the better the effect will be after stripping off the core of the mecha and injecting the abyssal potion. Moreover, it is extremely helpful in developing higher-level O-series pharmaceuticals. Of course, not only that, the blood of geniuses. But it has always been the favorite pastime of core members of the organization like He Lang. Wine, craft beer, compared to the beauty of blood. None worth mentioning. Tick-tock. The hands of the watch on your wrist make a sound. Time has arrived. If nothing else happens, Xiao Yuan now. Su Yang should have been caught. And use the temporary transmission device developed by the organization headquarters to teleport to this marked location. Leave the genius named Su Yang to yourself. Ja. Why haven't you come yet? What was the delay? He Lang thought in his mind. But his eyes gradually became colder. No matter what happened, Xiao Yuan was delayed. The superior's tasks always have the highest priority. After he comes back, even if he completes the task, he will be punished. However, Deng Helang had a gloomy face. After waiting for another 10 minutes. But there was still no spatial fluctuation. The corners of his eyes twitched slightly, and his eyes turned completely cold. This is mission failed. Helang's eyes flickered. I weighed in my mind how likely this might be. A student who has just awakened. Counter-killing a veteran armor master who has been promoted to 5 stars for quite some time. Is this possible? Possible. But this possibility. Perhaps the chance of him suddenly dying of a heart attack is even lower than now. Now, he has completed a series of injections of abyss medicine. Physical fitness has reached a rather exaggerated level. The chance of sudden death from a heart attack is infinitely close to 0. So, Xiao Yuan is a 5-star mecha master. How could he be killed by Su Yang? This is simply impossible. The only possible explanation. Could it be that Xiao Yuan was exposed? Thinking of this, Helang frowned slightly. If this is the case, it would be a bit troublesome. Thinking of this, he took out his secret communicator and sent a message. Soon after, the message received a reply. Not exposed. No, Helang felt temporarily relieved. However, if Xiao Yuan was not discovered by someone from the Law Enforcement Bureau. So, what's the reason for not completing the mission or even reporting back? The more he thought about it, the more Helang's eyelids twitched. Anyone with common sense, everyone should know one thing. When all possibilities have been eliminated, that last remaining possibility, no matter how outrageous it seems, it can only be true. That is to say, Xiao Yuan was really killed by that guy named Su Yang. After forcing myself to accept this possibility, Helang took a deep breath and stood up from his position. The location left by the footprints is a deep pit several centimeters deep. This is a ground made of extremely hard alloy material, which shows how terrifying Helang's power is. How many secrets does this guy have? Helang's eyes were as dark as a falcon's. Curiosity about Su Yang, becoming more and more intense. Ding! At this moment, a message came from the secret communicator. Recently, it has become more restrained. The imperial capital has noticed Hangzhou. This is a small matter. Has it already attracted the attention of the imperial capital? The corners of Helang's mouth raised slightly, and his eyes were full of defiance and ridicule. But, say so. He originally planned to take some follow-up actions, but gave up the idea for the time being. Ascension to glory, although it has developed rapidly this year, the organizational strength has increased exponentially. It has to be compared with Daxia official. That's still far from enough for now. So, if you want to have a python swallowing a dragon, you have to endure it for the time being. Not to mention, the special department belonging to the central government. Just thinking about it makes people shudder. Then let me see first what kind of light you can shine. Murmured softly. A faint trace of scarlet flashed through Helang's cunning, wolf-like eyes, and then his figure disappeared into the darkness, and everything returned to silence. Return home. Su Yang carefully reviewed everything that had happened in the abyss. First, there was a 5-star mecha master who showed obvious hostility towards him. Then he was defeated by me using Yuan Nang nuclear sword, and not even ashes were left. Who is the one? The first time may be a coincidence. The second time, it was obviously not a coincidence. So many mutants came directly to my class and only attacked me when other people were present. This third time is even more exaggerated. He attacked me directly in the abyss. Su Yang's eyes were calm and analyzed carefully. In this case, some organization must be targeting me. An organization that can create mutants shouldn't be easy. But the social order in Daxia is quite stable. Let's not talk about mutants. That mecha master only dared to attack me in the abyss, which shows that they are still afraid of the power of the Law Enforcement Bureau. So does that mean that in the main world, I am still safe for the time being? I just need to be careful about mutants. Most of the mutants have no strength and no intelligence. They don't pose much of a threat to me. On the contrary, in the abyss, The opponent may send powerful mecha masters. It's quite an exaggeration to use a 5-star mecha master to deal with me. After all, I'm just a senior high school student who has just awakened. The corners of Su Yang's mouth raised slightly. I guess the other party didn't think of it either. A 5-star mecha master was dispatched, and he never came back. So, as long as this organization cannot send out 8-star mecha masters to intercept and kill me, both Energy Nuclear Sword and Magnetic Storm Orbital Ray can handle it. Well, provided there are no more than 2 people coming. But, the 8-star mecha masters, do you think too highly of them? How many 8-star mecha masters are there in the entire Daxia? Almost all of them are serving the country. As for the 7-star mecha master, the same is true. While analyzing, Su Yang suddenly sighed and shook his head. If you can find your headquarters, a magnetic storm tracks, or a nuclear explosion, I don't believe you can still jump. But, that's what it says. The current self is completely a glass cannon. Although it can release a nuclear explosion level attack, it is still quite weak in terms of defense. There are only a few days until the national exam. Out of safety considerations, I will not go to the abyss for the time being. Wait until I get the first of the national examination, and choose AS class defense equipment. Through the top level increase, it increases it to surpass SSS level defense equipment. If SSS level weapons can release the power of nuclear explosion level. So the defense equipment that surpasses the SSS level nuclear explosion level attack is estimated to be easily blocked. BK time. Under the circumstances that can guarantee your absolute safety, it's time for me to take the initiative. The days passed. The footsteps of the national test are already approaching. 2 days later, that is, the day after tomorrow, that is related to the big summer students test, and it will be opened. These days, because they no longer go to the abyss, Su Yang spent all time on Qi Ling. However, no matter how hard Su Yang tries, it is already the limit. Want to go further, for example, twice a day, never succeeded, and failed. Can only say, as a genius, even the troubles are different. If you let other mechologists know Su Yang's idea, there may be all the hearts of jumping from the building. Previously, several top school professors, how to say as a genius level, but even them can only be inquiries once in a few days. Not only that, even after the Qi Ling, the growth rate of the core of the mech is far lower than that of Su Yang. Result, Su Yang still wants to do many deeds within a day. Do you want to be so exaggerated? Anyway, these days, Su Yang's Qi Ling is effective, although they are suffering from mental pain every day. But the corresponding ones were also satisfactory. Su Yang's core fit, from the original 44%, directly increased to 96%. If you do and have an accident, you can successfully reach 100% to complete today's Qi Ling and reach the degree of 4-star fit. Thinking of this, Su Yang was a little ready, relaxed the body and mind to the best state, and started, and he was the last deed as a Samsung Mechmaster. In a peaceful state, Su Yang summoned its core mecha. Since the opening of Qi Ling space, Su Yang can feel that the connection between myself and the core of the mech has become more and more close. The link between the two, as the Qi Ling is a bit condensed with each time, it really means that there are some contracts in it. Last Ling Ling. The mind flashed. Su Yang's soul entered the Qi Ling space unimpededly. Compared to the rusty when I first came here, the current Su Yang is already familiar with this space. It's just that the light spots shining with light white light around were almost collected in the first few times. There are only a few left, scattered around, and it takes a longer time than previous days, and the group collects. 0. After selecting one of them, Su Yang began to move towards it. Although the mental torture and pain has not been alleviated at all after going through the spirit bonding time and time again, Su Yang's endurance has been well tempered. Because of this, even if the light spot was quite far away from the starting point, Su Yang could endure it and slowly move towards it. 100 meters, 60 meters, 40. Little by little, we get closer. Until the last 20 meters left, Su Yang worked hard and touched the light spot with her fingertips. Boom. The moment the light spot is touched, just like in the past, it quickly sank into Su Yang's body, melting away the mental pain she had endured before. After this, Su Yang could notice that the bond between him and the core of the mecha was once again stronger. If nothing else goes wrong, the core compatibility of the mecha should have reached 100%. Only, no special feeling. Su Yang originally thought that after reaching 100% compatibility and being promoted to 4 stars, more or less, there will be some unique feeling. Now it seems that I have thought too much. Just as Su Yang was thinking this, when preparing to exit the Qingling space, sudden. The original space of the bonded spirit was dimmed because all the light points were collected. Suddenly, a new light spot appeared. After it appears, it slowly expands and expands, until it far exceeds the size of a normal light spot. If we say, those previous light spots are like stars, then it is just like the moon, completely different from other light spots. Su Yang was shocked. Could it be said that, breaking through to 4 stars, in addition to making the compatibility reach 100%, still need to collect such a special light point? If so, just by looking at it, you can feel, this will be a tough battle. After continuing to observe for a while, Su Yang withdrew his gaze and exited the spirit space. I have completed a spirit contract today, and my soul has reached its limit. I can only wait until tomorrow to try again. It just so happens that you can ask Professor Chu from Longxia University to see if your guess about promotion is correct. Chapter 51. Open the communication system, find Professor Chu from Longxia University, and send him an inquiry message. Within a few minutes, a reply came from there. Professor Chu. According to your description, that huge light spot is the key to breakthrough. As long as you can touch it in the spirit space, you can complete the promotion. So your guess is absolutely correct. But, you will know when you experience it yourself that it is much more difficult to touch it than to collect ordinary light points. Quote. But if it is you, I believe you will be able to succeed. After all, you are a genius who has high hopes from us old guys to break the historical record of Daxia. By the way, remember to give more consideration to our Longxia University. After reading Professor Chu's last message, Su Yang smiled knowingly. I am really in demand. Don't forget to mention it at this time. But, let's talk about breakthroughs. That huge light group is indeed the key. It shouldn't be a big problem. Along the way, on the path of the Warcaster, I have never encountered any obstacles. It can be said that Su Yang has absolute confidence in his talent. Tomorrow, take it in one fell swoop. The next day, it's the penultimate day before the national exam. After Su Yang got up, she washed up and didn't eat breakfast. She was ready to start directly to hit the 4-star fitness level. Just like yesterday, calm down your mind, maintain a peaceful state of mind, and summon the mecha core. As his consciousness gradually merged with the core of the mecha, Su Yang also successfully entered the spirit space. As soon as he entered the Qingling space, he saw the huge light group like stars holding the moon. It is Su Yang's goal today. Just touch it. You can surpass 3 stars and move into 4 stars. Take a deep breath. After making sure you are in the best possible condition right now, started to approach the huge light ball. Hiss. Just took a step forward. That intense mental sting hit me instantly. After more than 10 days of training, Su Yang's pain tolerance threshold has been improved a lot. But when faced with this level of pain, I still feel a splitting headache and can't walk. This is a test of genius. As a genius, in every realm, the speed of improvement is much faster than that of ordinary people. For example, if Su Yang collects a light point, it can increase the mecha's core compatibility by nearly 6% or even 8%. However, for an ordinary person, collecting a light point may only increase the power by about 2%. But, when breaking through and improving, for geniuses, the difficulty of improvement is several times higher than that of ordinary people. Only those who persevere can break and then stand up again. Gritting his teeth, Su Yang tried hard to suppress the thought of giving up, and raised his head to look at the huge ball of light. It seems close at hand, but in fact, it is still quite far away from the current Su Yang. Is it possible? The confusion in my heart appeared for a moment. It was directly erased by Su Yang. Whether it works or not, as long as you don't die, then let me move forward. Ha. Soon. I don't know how much time has passed. At this time, Su Yang was sweating profusely. The mental pain he endured was about to reach its limit. The only good news is that the huge light group is now only a little distance away. Immediately. It's about to succeed. Can't rest. Just hold your breath like this, hold on, and go through. Su Yang's eyes were determined. The steps under his feet did not stop at all. If it were other people, maybe at this time, they would comfort themselves and take a rest. Often these seemingly inconspicuous differences create an insurmountable gap between ordinary people and geniuses. The last 10 steps. The last 3 steps. Last step. When the last step is taken, Su Yang, due to exhaustion, rushed directly towards the huge light ball. Peaceful and tranquil energy flowed from the limbs to Su Yang's whole body in an instant. Wash away all the pain and torture you just experienced. At the same time, the bond between the Mecha core and Su Yang is slowly solidifying, until it will soon enter the 4-star realm. Su Yang, with her eyes closed, enjoyed the peace after victory. However, just at this time, a sudden change occurred. The huge light group that enveloped Su Yang. Suddenly, it felt like it was being forcibly robbed by something. Directly turned into rays of light and dissipated in this fengqiling space. This caused Su Yang, who was still resting with his eyes closed, to suddenly start falling downwards. Exclamation mark, question mark. Su Yang took a deep breath. Wake up from the horror. Escaped from the spirit space. Back to the real world. What happened just now? Su Yang tried hard to recall everything that had just happened. This forced departure from the bonded spirit space had a certain impact on his spirit. However, as his spirit slowly recovered, Su Yang remembered everything that had just happened in the Keeling space. I touched that huge ball of light. It really took away the pain and fatigue from my body. It stands to reason that the promotion should have been successful. The compatibility between me and the Mecha core should have completed the promotion and entered the 4-star stage. But, what was that just now? It seems that all the energy contained in the light group has been robbed away. The compatibility between me and the core of the Mecha is still 100%, and I have not been promoted successfully. Su Yang was about to summon the Mecha core to take a closer look. As soon as he raised his head, his pupils suddenly shrank. See you. Next to the re-summoned Mecha core, a black core appeared out of thin air and was floating quietly. On the core, various strange patterns seemed to be alive, flowing quietly, just like a person's breathing. What's this? Su Yang calmed down forcefully. The appearance of this core is somewhat similar to the Mecha core, but it exudes a completely different atmosphere, as if it is a creation from 2 different worlds. Just now, the energy in that huge light group. Could it be that they were absorbed and plundered by it? This idea passed through Su Yang's mind. If this is really the case, why does it still take the initiative to plunder? Does it have life and autonomous consciousness? Wrong. No matter how you look at it, this thing doesn't look like a living thing. If it robbed the light group just now, then why did it not appear or respond when I collected other light points before? Or, it doesn't look at those ordinary light spots at all. Only the huge light group generated when the breakthrough can enter its eyes. This thing is so weird. Su Yang's eyelids twitched slightly. But the problem is, no matter how you say it, it has something to do with yourself, and it emerges from yourself. Head. In silence, Su Yang reached out and tried to touch the black core. The black core has no special reaction. On the contrary, Su Yang felt a sense of contractual connection. This feeling is no different from the contractual bond at the core of the Mecha. On the contrary, it seems to be more in line with my soul. Su Yang withdrew his hand. This mysterious black core. Although I don't know what it is, I don't know what effect it has yet. However, I should be able to control it myself, and the problem is not big for the time being. Moved by thoughts, the black core disappears before your eyes. It was as if it had never appeared. Su Yang thought for a while and decided to keep the matter secret for the time being. Although he didn't know why, he instinctively had a premonition. Behind this black core, there may be some kind of secret that can subvert the world. After putting away the black core, Su Yang summoned the Mecha core in front of him. Glanced. Really, Mecha core fit. Still 100% Samsung. My own advancement failed. No, it cannot be said to be a failure. All I can say is that it was intercepted. It's not right. If there is no way to regenerate that huge light group in the spirit space, doesn't it mean that I will never be promoted to a 4-star Mecha Master for the rest of my life? Suddenly realized this problem, Su Yang was immediately stunned. If this is the case, then he is really on the verge of crying. From the top genius who is about to break the Great Sha record, to the 3-star Mecha Master who will never be able to break through the 4-star level. Hello, who can bear this gap? Of course, what exactly will happen? We can only really know until tomorrow comes. Before that, saying anything is in vain. From now on, Su Yang has truly experienced what it means to be restless and feeling like sitting on pins and needles. In the end, every minute and every second was like suffering. Finally, the next day, countdown to the big exam, one day. Last night, Yang didn't feel sleepy at all. Even though I forced myself to fall asleep, I didn't sleep well at all. While washing, I looked at myself in the mirror with 2 dark circles under my eyes and sighed deeply. I hope it doesn't develop into what I imagined. Whether he breaks the Daxia record or not, it doesn't matter now. Whether you can get the first place in the national exam and get the S-level reward is no longer that important. Now, Su Yang only wants to know one thing. That is, can I still be promoted to a 4-star Mecha Master? With this strong feeling of anxiety, Su Yang sat cross-legged on the bed and summoned the Mecha Core. Looking at the Mecha Core that was so friendly in the past, Su Yang only feels a little headache now. Quote. Don't kid me. That's what I thought in my heart. After taking a deep breath, Su Yang entered the world of Qi Ling. Qi Ling world. The vast space is dotted with stars. But the most dazzling thing is the huge light group in the center with stars and the moon. The opportunity is still there. See the scene in front of you. Su Yang's heart that had been hanging all night was finally relieved. As long as the promotion light group is still there, everything will be easy. It's just, do it again. As for the way to the promotion light group, how painful it is, I experienced it yesterday. However, compared with the cruel fact of losing the opportunity for promotion and staying at Samsung forever, what does this mean? Then, after a long and painful ordeal, Su Yang finally came to the promotion light group again. It's over. Su Yang thought so. Stretch out your hand and touch the promotion light group. Tomorrow is the day of the college entrance examination. As long as everything goes well today, I will be able to create a miracle in the history of the Great Sha College entrance examination as the number 1 in the college entrance examination. However, God backfired when Su Yang thought everything was going to be over. The huge promotion light group once again dissipated like yesterday, turning into wisps of starlight and disappearing before your eyes. Su Yang, here we go again, right? Without even thinking about it, it must be the same as yesterday. It was robbed away by the weird and mysterious black core again. Call. Su Yang collapsed to the ground. Let yourself fall rapidly in the spirit space. Then, I woke up in the room, somewhat numbly. Looking at the black core that appeared again in front of me at some unknown time, I was stunned for a while. 5 minutes later, Su Yang gradually came back to his senses. After taking a deep breath, bring the black core to the king. His eyes were resolute and firm, and he had regained his former look. I want to see if you can still suck a few more times. The worst I can do is come with you 10 more times. I don't believe it. I can't hold you to death. The third day, the national exam is going on as scheduled. Before going to school, Su Yang once again performed a spiritual contracting. After experiencing the third long and painful torture, I drank the black core 10 more times. So far, although Su Yang has completed the promotion to the deed spirit 3 times. However, the core compatibility of the mecha is still 3-star hyphenation 100%. Compared with 3 days ago, there is no increase. If this kind of thing happened to anyone else, he would probably collapse. But Su Yang doesn't. Not 3 times. That's 5 times. If 5 times doesn't work, then 10 times. If it doesn't work 10 times, then 50 times, 100 times. Hold, it's no longer relevant. Is it possible that it is still a bottomless pit that cannot be filled? After washing up and tidying up a little, Su Yang left the house. After having breakfast at the breakfast shop downstairs at home, we rushed to school. Hangcheng Number 3 Middle School. Today is the day when the national exam begins. It has been a month since I woke up and took the entrance exam. During this month, the candidates from each school have experienced a lot in the abyss. This can be seen just from the changes in the temperament of everyone. After dozens of battles and crises, big and small, those childish faces of the past have faded away. But, at this time, the candidates of No. 3 Middle School. In addition to looking forward to what kind of results I can achieve in the college entrance examination, there is another thing I am looking forward to. That is, Su Shen, who has not been to school for nearly half a month, will get terrible results in the big exam. Look, Shen Su is here. Stop pushing, let me see. Su Shen has been training on his own for the past half month. I wonder where his strength is now. I don't know, but I have a vague feeling that Su Shen may set a record for us in Hangzhou. I'm really looking forward to it. With Su Shen's grades, can he choose any university? Longxia, Imperial Capital, Magic City, Central, these 4 top universities, I don't know which one Su Shen will choose. Ha ha ha, what do you mean by this? Su Shen chooses a university at will. Just watch, by the time the exam is over, I guess the 4 top universities will have to beg Su Shen to study at them. The discussion was in full swing. The boys mainly envy and admire Su Yang's powerful strength and terrifying talent. Girls are fascinated by Su Yang's charm. In school, there are many girls who have a crush on Su Yang. At the same time, they also know very well that after today, their lives may no longer intersect with Su Yang. The secret love in adolescence is going to come to an end today, so naturally you should take this opportunity to take a second look at the person you love. After arriving at school, Su Yang found that no matter where she went, she was almost always followed by eyes. Whether they are juniors in the 1st or 2nd grade of high school, or classmates in the same grade as the 3rd grade of high school, almost all of them seem to be crazy. There are even little fans in the lower grades who come directly to Erzi to ask for his autograph. Is it so exaggerated? Su Yang sighed. He refused the elementary school girl's unreasonable request for him to sign on her chest and returned to his class. Welcome back. Class door. Lao Wang, the head teacher, looked at Su Yang with a smile. During this period of time, Lao Wang recovered quite well, and no sequelae could be seen at all. The classmates in the class were even more enthusiastic. They rushed up and surrounded Su Yang. This situation lasted until the transportation vehicles arranged by the school to go to the examination room were ready, and then it eased slightly. But, on the car, there was even a long fight over who should sit next to Su Yang. Exaggerated, but reasonable. National exam. The 6 major provinces of Daxia are carried out at the same time to ensure fairness and justice. The basic part of the test, just like the last joint examination, was set up in the Mecha training area on the outskirts of Hangzhou. The format of the major exam is actually almost the same as the joint exam. The only difference is the addition of the Abyss practical assessment items. As for the Mecha performance, Mecha core fit, and other tests, they are almost exactly the same as during the joint examination, but they have become more stringent. So in fact, it can be said that the last joint examination was a rehearsal for the big examination, allowing everyone to familiarize themselves with the process. With the arrival of transportation vehicles from major high schools in Hangzhou, there is not much time left for the start of the major exams. The examination waiting area of Hangcheng Number 1 Middle School. Among the crowd, sisters Chen Anan and Chen Luoyan were the most eye-catching presences. After nearly a month of hard work, both Chen Anan and Chen Luoyan have matured a lot. Fortunately, Chen Luoyan has such a cool and elegant personality. Chen Anan, on the other hand, has a hint of perseverance in her eyes compared to the petite and cute person she used to be. After experiencing the abyss, both of them have now been successfully promoted to 2-star Mecha Masters. The compatibility of the Mecha cores is almost the same, both at around 2 stars 60%. To be honest, this result is among the best no matter which core city in Daxia. While waiting for the big exam to begin, Chen Anan sent a message to Su Yang. Su Yang, come on. Be the same as last time and become the most powerful person. Beside, Chen Luoyan glanced at her sister's input box. Then he quickly looked away, and he didn't know what he was thinking in his seemingly calm eyes. Ding! News came from the communication system. Chen Anon. Su-young, come on. Be the same as last time and become the most powerful person. Seeing the news about Chen Anon, Su-young smiled knowingly. The overflowing enthusiasm of a girl has always been the most inspiring secret treasure. After replying, come on, Young put away the communicator. Become the most powerful person. He will. Although before the big exam, I failed to break through to 4 stars. However, my current 3-star 100% Mecha core compatibility should be enough to win the first place in the exam. As for the Mecha performance test and Abyss combat test, Su-young didn't think anyone could compare to him. All he has to do now is wait. Waiting for the big exam to start. Wait, create your own legend. At the same time, Magic City, the venue for the big exam. No, one middle school in Magic City, the area to be tested. Murong Nian's eyes were calm, and the direction he was looking in was the direction of Hangzhou. Su-young, the genius who understood the spirit contract method on his own. As time passes little by little, the much-anticipated summer exam officially begins today. Every candidate steps into the examination room with great excitement, but also caution, hoping to show their best results. However, after the assessment test, some people looked excited and were obviously very satisfied with the test results, while others left the test site dejected and listless. Special grandstand area. And Yan looked calmly at the candidates' scores projected on the central holographic projection. From the beginning to now, among the nearly 1,000 candidates, not one of them was enough to attract her attention. As the Mian Yuan selection officer of Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces, she is responsible for selecting the first Mian Yuan. But now it seems, apart from Su-young, there really isn't anyone worth looking forward to. Soon, it was the turn of sisters Chen Anon and Chen Luoyan. After the two passed the basic test, they caused quite a stir just like the last joint examination. And Yan also cheered up a little. Chen Anon, a 2-star Mecha Master, has an ability growth factor of 7.2, and a 2-star Mecha core compatibility of -65%. Chen Luoyan, a 2-star Mecha Master, has an ability growth factor of 7.0, and a 2-star Mecha core compatibility of 63%. These two are pretty good. He is considered to be among the geniuses. Mark it temporarily and include it in subsequent consideration. The candidates took turns in an orderly manner, and according to the number, they went to the central testing area for assessment. Until the broadcast read out the next batch of test student numbers. Hangcheng number 2 middle school, Mecha division number 34454464X, Qian. Hangcheng number 1 middle school, Mecha division number 37623444X, Jiaoxi. Hangcheng. Europeans don't care much about these people. Until the last number read. Hangcheng number 3 middle school, Mecha division number 3310174X, Su-young. The whole audience, suddenly quiet. If we talk about this period of time, who is the most popular person in Hangzhou? There is no doubt that it is Su-young who is about to appear. Since the results of the citywide joint entrance examination are public, it is not just the current students. It can be said that almost everyone in Hangzhou knows that there is a monster genius named Su-young in Hangcheng number 3 middle school. After the successful awakening, only 3 days later, he won the first place in the joint examination with the score of 3-star Mecha core compatibility. Such a genius is quite rare even in the entire history of Hangzhou. So it's not an exaggeration to say, all eyes are on you. Not to mention, after witnessing the miracle in the joint entrance examination, more people will want to witness it even more. A genius who can set a 3-star compatibility record within 7 days of awakening. What kind of miracles and brilliance can be created in the upcoming big exam? At this time, along with fellow testers, Su-young appeared. As soon as they arrived at the testing area, the audience burst into warm cheers. Su-young raised his head slightly and looked around at the various test areas. He felt the gazes directed at him with a calm expression. Original. I also want to take the big exam. Show your 4-star compatibility. As a result, due to the mysterious black core, he swallowed up all 3 promotion spirits. As a result, I am still stuck at Samsung hyphenation point 100%. This way. Caused a sensation, but it would be much less. But, Even so, this time he ranked first in the national exam. He is still bound to win. Be confident in yourself. Area to be tested. Another special seat. Several familiar figures appeared here. These people were none other than the 4 professors who participated in the online meeting and were responsible for the admissions of 4 top universities this year. That's right. In order to ensure that we can contact Soo-young as soon as possible after the big exam, they rushed to Hangzhou directly from their respective schools. These past days were in their respective schools. Very talented top professors. The appearance at this time is no different from those old men and women sitting on a small bench in front of the supermarket waiting to grab something. The main thing is an expectation. A desire. Finally. It's Soo-young's turn to take the test. The eyes of the 4 professors suddenly lit up. At this time, Professor Zhang from Modu University turned to look at Professor Chu from Longxia University. Old Chu, did Soo-young really ask you about your promotion to the contract spirit? Hearing this, Professor Wu Yang from Imperial University and Professor Lin from Central University also turned their attention to Professor Chu. Promoted to the Keeling. What does that mean? This means that Soo-young achieved 100% Samsung Fit a few days ago. Otherwise, how could he suddenly ask about promotion to a bonded spirit? It's so terrifying, it's so terrifying. When a few people went to test Soo-young, Soo-young's mecha core compatibility seems to be only 44, right? As a result, it didn't take long before it reached 100%. At this exaggerated growth rate, the word, weird, is used. It is simply tailor-made for Soo-young. I saw 3 people looking at me. Professor Chu smiled and nodded. This can still be false. Being able to achieve the 3-star 100% mecha core compatibility, I will be ranked first in this year's exam. I think it will be stable. The problem is, I don't know if Soo-young can create a miracle and achieve 4-star fitness. As soon as these words came out, for the other 3 professors, you look at me and I look at you. Finally, Professor Zhang from Shanghai Modu University shook his head and said, I think it's unlikely. We are all people who have experienced it, and we should know that although people with high talents can increase the rate of mecha core compatibility quickly, it is quite difficult to break through. According to Soo-young's terrifying talent, once he breaks through, the performance of the mecha will definitely overwhelm the mecha masters of the same level, and so, the difficulty for him to complete the promotion to the Pact Spirit must be far beyond that of ordinary geniuses. Think about it, how long did it take for the rest of us to complete the promotion to the Bonded Spirit when we broke through the 4-star level? It took me a month and a half. It took me 2 months. Okay, are you all so cruel? I remember that it seemed like it took almost a month. Hear the words. Professor Zhang smiled. We can all be considered geniuses after all, right? Let's just say that I am almost the same as you, Lao Chu. It took me a month and a half. Do you think that no matter how talented Soo-young is, he can complete the promotion to a 4-star mecha master within 3 days? This is too exaggerated and simply impossible. I estimate that no matter how fast it is, it will take at least 10 days, right? Otherwise, it's still a human being. After listening to Professor Zhang's analysis, the other 3 professors present all felt that it made sense. Although they have high hopes for Soo-young, they expect him to create a legend and achieve 4-star fitness in the big exam. But now think about it. Are their expectations too high? In comparison, the possibility of a newborn baby surviving independently on the 13th floor of the abyss for 10 days may be even greater. But having said that, Samsung's 100% result is already the highest in Daxia's history, right? If I remember correctly, in the history of Daxia, there seems to be no guy who has achieved 4-star fitness in the college entrance examination. Yes, it is indeed the highest in history. Hey, even people like Soo-young can't achieve 4-star fitness in the big exam. Is this the limit of human genius? Who knows? But let me tell you, after the big exam is over, you have to come in the order you agreed on before, and you are not allowed to jump in line. Turn out to be. In order to compete for who can be the first to communicate with Soo-young after the big exam. The 4 professors had already decided the order by throwing dice. Ha ha ha, in order, in order. Anyway, when Soo-young found out that he was promoted to the contract spirit, he asked me, which means that the person he trusts most is me. Old Chu, you have a pretty good idea. I think you just happened to be at the top of the address book. TCH. It doesn't matter. In the end, it's not about everyone's ability. Our principal has already made it known that as long as we can afford it, we will give it to you. No one is the same. The 4 professors were having a heated argument. But what they don't know is what they discussed most. As for, is it possible for Su Yang to achieve 4-star fitness in the big exam, it is completely a false proposition. Because, achieve 4-star fit, for Su Yang, there is no problem at all. If it weren't for that weird black core causing trouble. Su Yang has already completed 3 promotions to the contract spirit. Once a day. Compared with the 4 professors, it took an average of 2 months to complete the promotion to the bonded spirit, more than 30 times faster. In a sense, it's really inhuman. Of course, except for this. What they don't know is, besides them, there are others waiting for Su Yang's results. That is, Yan, as a confidential project designated by the central government. The priority of the Abyss Phase 1 project is far higher than theirs. Only after Su Yang made it clear that she was unwilling to participate in the Mian project could the opportunity come to them. So, well, it's quite miserable. Test area. This round of testing has begun. In half a month, theoretically speaking, if enough monsters are hunted, it is enough for someone to be promoted to a 3-star Mecha Master. So, Su Yang no longer concealed the fact that he was already a 3-star Mecha Master. But, if you show your current mecha performance, it may directly make people mistakenly think that there is a problem with the detection machine. After all, so far, the highest data of 3-star Mecha Masters recorded by the Global Mecha Master Association are as follows. LV.30 Initial Mecha. Energy Reserve 8,000 units. Attributes. Maximum Strength 800 kilograms. Maximum Speed 70 meters per second. Maximum damage that can be sustained 7,000 units. However, Su Yang's properties are as follows. IV.30 Initial Mecha. Energy Reserve 20,000 units. Attributes. Maximum Strength 2 tons. Maximum Speed 160 meters per second. Maximum damage that can be sustained 18,000 units. Then the world record, more than twice as high. A little bit exaggerated. Plus, from everyone's perspective, you, Su Yang, are a monster-level genius known to everyone. During the big exam, whoever taught me was still acceptable enough. But the most you can do is around LV.21. Isn't this exaggeration enough? What does it mean if you come to LV.30? So, Su Yang could only control the intensity. He acted like a newcomer who had just broken through to the 3-star Mecha division. But nevertheless, when the test results could come out, the waves of exclamations, shock, enthusiasm, and admiration from the audience still made Su Yang a little overwhelmed. This is already so shocking. It seems that it's a good thing that I didn't break through the 4-star fitness level. Su Yang said mockingly to himself with a joking tone. Then, amid the enthusiastic cheers of the crowd, entering the testing chamber for Mecha Core compatibility. In the testing cabin, before starting the test, Su Yang suddenly thought of a question. That is, that weird and mysterious black core. If you can plunder and absorb the spirit of promotion, does that mean that it is also a special Mecha Core? If this is really the case, then will I have 2 test results? Wrong. That weird core definitely didn't just appear, it has always existed. During the first joint entrance examination, the results were not tested, and the previous professors were not tested either, so there should be no problem. So thinking, Su Yang waited quietly for the test to begin. However, according to the famous Murphy's Law, the more you worry about something, the more likely it will happen. Diao. So, when the test is about to begin, the weird and mysterious black core appeared. Su Yang was stunned for a second when he saw the strange black core appearing. I was still analyzing it just now, so there shouldn't be any problems. The next second, he jumped out and slapped him in the face. It would be better if it came out at another time. But the problem is one. This is above the examination room of the National Major Exam. Although the situation in the test cabin is now invisible to people outside. But who knows what will happen to this weird black core later. But, Su Yang is Su Yang after all. He quickly calmed down. In my mind, I analyzed the current situation. The reason for this situation is most likely related to his promotion to the bonded spirit in the past 3 days. The packed spirit light group that was originally used to complete the promotion of the Mecha core was all swallowed up by the black core, which may have led to its successful activation. This can explain why the black core was not found in the previous joint entrance examination and Professor Chu's test. Because at that time, the black core had not yet been activated, so it was naturally undetectable. So now, if this black core can be recalled, the problem will be solved. If the black core cannot be recalled, then you need to see if you can use your original Mecha core to overwrite its data. After all, the test object of the test cabin is the Mecha core. Presumably, in terms of priority, this black core should lag behind his own Mecha core. Think of this. Su Yang is planning to give it a try. However, a strange scene happened. I saw that from the strange black core, several tentacle-like things suddenly extended and connected to the test cabin. Then, before Su Yang had time to react, a very special feeling comes into my mind. It gave him an inexplicable illusion, that is, now I can control this test cabin. Feel free to tamper with its test data. Su Yang. What's happening here? Even if he doesn't know how this black core does this. But this feeling is so strong that there is no doubt at all. Su Yang, who has always been a good-natured person, realized it immediately. This would be, what a terrifying ability. Thinking of this, he looked at the black core. Instead of being dissatisfied before, it has become even more passionate. Besides plundering my packed spirit light group, you are still useful. In this era of mechas and technology, this can bypass security systems. The ability to autonomously hack into a device and control it is definitely a bug. To know, as a testing device used in national exams. These test cabins have definitely been tested millions of times and are equipped with the most advanced anti-cheating and anti-intrusion systems. However, didn't do anything myself. That weird black core completed the invasion and gained control of the test cabin system. Not only that, Su Yang also has a premonition. That is, this kind of intrusion ability, which can be called a bug, is by no means the whole of this weird core. There are definitely more secrets in it. After all, I am still in the big exam. Even though Su Yang had a strong desire to explore the secrets of the strange black core. But I can only suppress this desire temporarily and deal with the important part of the big exam first. He glanced at the time. 2 minutes had passed since he entered the test cabin. This means that there is only 1 minute left before the test ends. Do I need to change the test results to 4 stars? Su Yang thought for a while and finally gave up. This kind of cheating does not bring any benefits to oneself. Anyway, I know very well that I can be promoted to 4-star compatibility long ago. It was just delayed because of the existence of the weird core. Samsung hyphenation 100% compatibility is completely enough to win the first place in the National Joint Entrance Examination (DBCB). Think of this. Su Yang recalled the black core. Let the test cabin conduct normal tests on its Mecha core. Area to be tested. After Su Yang's group began the Mecha core fit test. Everyone is staring at the holographic projection screen in the central area. They want to know how terrifying Su Yang's Mecha core compatibility is. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Finally, after the 3-minute test time is up, on the central holographic projection screen, everyone's test results were displayed. First in line, it is Su Yang's achievement. Mecha core fit test. Tester, Su Yang. Test result, Samsung hyphenation 100%. Boom. After seeing Su Yang's test results, all the candidates in the entire waiting area felt as if they were worshipping gods. A series of emotions such as shock, admiration, and envy were directly triggered. Equals 0.100%. If I remember correctly, during the joint entrance examination, Su Yang's core fitness score was 2% for 3 stars. Despite this, it has caused a huge sensation. Now, close to the joint entrance exam, only half a month has passed. It actually increased directly from Samsung 2% to Samsung 100%. What a terrifying speed of improvement and what a terrifying mecha talent. Shocked, horrified, numb. Every candidate who is inspired to become a top mecha master. At this moment, I realized the insurmountable talent gap between myself and Su Yang. Hangcheng number 1 middle school examination waiting area. 2 sisters, Chen Luoyan and Chen Anan. Looking at Su Yang's test results on the central holographic projection screen, his face was filled with shock. They had expected what kind of miracle Su Yang would create. But I never thought that he would reach 3 stars hyphenation point 100%. After all, people who know that Su Yang has understood the spirit contract method on his own. Only Professor Chu and the 10 top geniuses who participated in the genius meeting. The rest of the people don't know this. They all thought that Su Yang achieved this incredible core fit simply by relying on natural growth. That's why there was such a sensation. Of course. If you want to ask. Natural growth, reaching 3-star 100% compatibility, and learning the spirit contract method on your own, reaching 3-star 100% compatibility. Which one is more genius? Take these 2 things and ask 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 people. As long as a normal mecha master who knows the spirit contract method will choose the latter without hesitation. There is no comparison between the two. Special grandstand area. And Yan's brows wrinkled slightly. Equals 0.100%. How did this guy do it? If I remember correctly, in the big exam half a month ago, he seemed to have only a 3-star 2% fitness rating, right? This speed of improvement is a bit too exaggerated. It is absolutely impossible to achieve this speed simply by relying on natural growth. So, did someone teach him the contents of the spirit contract method in advance? If that were the case, it would make sense. But if this happens, the one who violates the basic law of mecha masters, maybe something will happen. Su Yang's talent level is obvious to all. Those who violate the basic law of mecha masters are trying to destroy Daxia's top geniuses. Accountability should be quite severe. But this is not the jurisdiction of Anyan, but the Law Enforcement Bureau. All she has to do is to be responsible for selecting Su Yang as the abyssal one later on. Another special stand. Really? Professor Chu's eyes lit up. Looking at the Samsung 100% test results, I am quite satisfied. He knew that Su Yang would ask that, and it was obvious that he had encountered a promotion bottleneck. Now it seems that I was not wrong. As for Su Yang failed to break through to 4 stars. Although there is some regret, this is something beyond human control after all, so naturally a few people will not be demanding. Mecha Performance Test, Mecha Core Fit Test. Su Yang's results in these 2 tests are enough to rank 3rd in the country. Then now, only the Abyss Actual Combat Assessment Test remains. According to what I learned from the principal of No. 3 middle school in the past few days, Su Yang has been taking leave at home half a month ago, saying that he wanted to experience the Abyss by himself. If nothing else, he should be able to win the Abyss Actual Combat project steadily. The one who ranks first in the National Joint Entrance Examination. Has no choice but to run away. Professor Chu looked at the projection of Su Yang broadcast on the big screen and said with emotion. The other factory professors also nodded in agreement. By the way, this Su Yang is so talented and so handsome. When she gets into college, she won't be able to be obsessed with the little girls in the school. Ha 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 ha, what's the matter? Young people must dare to love and hate. That's what it tastes like. That's right, I agree with what Lao Lin said. Well, my granddaughter is very talented and beautiful. I feel she is a perfect match for Su Yang. Although your granddaughter is pretty good, but she is still a bit far away from being worthy of Su Yang. You old man, don't put too much gold on yourself and still want to get married. Chu, tell me clearly who is the old guy. Ha 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 ha. Su Yang would not have thought of it. Because of the talent he showed. This group of old professors, who had always been calm and steady, began to shamelessly want to introduce someone to him. Hey Yu Yang, your granddaughter is indeed not worthy of Su Yang. Let me see, that girl from the Morong family is quite suitable for Su Yang. Hear this. Professor Wu Yang suddenly lost his temper. In fact, he also knew very well that although his granddaughter was excellent, but it's probably still 1,000 miles away from Su Yang, cough cough cough. On the contrary, it was Morong Nian from the Morong family. In terms of talent, Su Yang may be slightly weaker. However, In terms of family background, appearance, temperament and other aspects, he can definitely be regarded as the best among the young generation in Daxia. I'm telling you, why are you becoming more and more immoral as you get older? You don't need to worry about the affairs of young people. If you have the time, why not think more about how you can fool Soo-young when the exam is over? When time passes little by little. Finally, the entire basic test part for candidates in Hangzhou was completed. Next, it's the turn of an extremely critical subject in the exam, the Abyss Combat Assessment. If the basic test can test the talent of the Mecha Master, so the Abyss Actual Combat Assessment is to test whether the Mecha Masters can transform their talents into combat power. In Daxia's many years of history, there is really no shortage of geniuses. Therefore, there have been too many Mecha Masters who are talented, but are not good at fighting at all, and waste their talents in vain. So, in order to screen out those qualified Mecha Masters who have both talent and the ability to convert their talents into combat power, the Abyss Actual Combat Assessment is taken as seriously as the basic test. After the basic test is completed, the candidates from each school gathered together and went to the Abyss Jurisdiction Bureau in batches to enter the Abyss to conduct practical assessments. According to the order, naturally starting from Hangcheng No. 1 Middle School, then Hangcheng No. 2 Middle School, Hangcheng No. 3 Middle School, and so on. The school candidates who took the first turn got on the exclusive escort transport vehicle and headed to the Abyss Jurisdiction Bureau. School candidates who did not take their turn were waiting in the Mecha testing area. At this time, No. 3 Middle School waiting area. Soo-young attracted everyone's attention. During the joint entrance examination, Samsung -2%. In the big exam, Samsung -point 100%. Such dazzling achievements have obscured the light of everyone else. Let everyone present give all their attention to Soo-young. Amidst the cheers of, Su-shen is awesome, Su-shen is invincible, and, Su-shen, you are the god of our Hangzhou. Although Soo-young felt slightly embarrassed, he could not stop everyone's enthusiasm. To be honest, him now, I just want to finish the exam as soon as possible. Then set aside time to carefully study the strange and mysterious core. After all, the overbearing invasion ability displayed by the Black Core before was really shocking. This made Soo-young couldn't help but think about it. If even the test cabin of the college entrance examination can be controlled, so other devices, other systems, can I also invade and control them? If you can, the ability I have been given may be enough to subvert everything. The candidates of Hangcheng No. 1 Middle School are assembled and ready to go. Soo-young was in a trance. A broadcast announcement came from the testing area. Candidates from Hangcheng No. 1 Middle School boarded a special transport vehicle and were about to go to the Abyss Jurisdiction Bureau and enter the Abyss. I felt something in my heart, thinking of the encouragement that sisters Chen Anan and Chen Luoyan gave me in the past. Shouldn't I also learn to send one? After thinking for a while, Soo-young finally opened the communication system, found sisters Chen Anan and Chen Luoyan, and sent a message respectively. Safety first, come on. Safety first, come on. On the transport vehicle heading to the Abyss, Chen Anan leaned against the window and looked at the rapidly retreating buildings around him, feeling a little disappointed. Soo-young was able to achieve such impressive results, and she was naturally very happy for him. Who doesn't want the boy they have a crush on to become the center of attention? She was disappointed because the gap between her and Soo-young might never catch up. She originally thought that with her hard work during this period and working hard to hone herself in the Abyss every day, she might be able to get closer to Soo-young. But the final result is that the gap between the two becomes wider and wider. Ding! News came from the communication system. Chen Anan regained his mind, glanced at the news, and then immediately sat up straight. Safety first, come on. It was a message sent to me by Soo-young, the girl who felt a little lost before. At this time, his eyes suddenly lit up, and the joy in his heart was simply difficult to express in words. It seems, this is the first time Soo-young has taken the initiative to send her a message. But, it seemed like something had occurred to him. Chen Anan secretly glanced at her sister beside her. She was wondering whether her sister had also received news from Soo-young. What are you looking at? Beside After noticing Chen Anon's gaze, Chen Luoyan smiled and rubbed her head. Sister, you didn't receive the message. Huh, what news? Chen Luoyan blinked her eyes and asked a question. Although she had received news from Su Yang just now, she acted as if nothing had happened at this time. As a sister, she actually knew very well that Su Yang's message did not actually have any connotations between men and women. On the contrary, it's more like advice between friends. But, look at my sister's happy look. She did not expose it or even say that she had received the news, but left the joy to her sister alone. Ah, no, it's nothing, I made a mistake. Chen Anon, who had no idea what her sister was thinking, turned back in a low voice. On the cheeks, the blush becomes thicker. In my heart, I was even more happy. One layer of Abyss. The Abyss actual combat assessment obviously takes much longer time than the basic test. After all, every candidate needs to experience actual combat. Only by completing the task of hunting monsters can they complete the assessment. Therefore, when it was the turn of Hangcheng No. 3 middle school, quite a long time had passed. But, to many people, they are all willing to take the time to wait. Because they want to know what kind of results Su Yang can achieve in the actual combat assessment. Before the big exam starts, on the first floor of the Abyss, a special assessment area was set up. In this area, there are various 1-star, 2-star, and even 3-star monsters scattered. In the actual combat assessment, there are also several people working in groups. Before candidates enter the area, they will be given a detailed map of the distribution of monsters. Subsequently, the actual combat assessment score will be assessed based on the number of monsters the candidate kills within the specified time. According to the different strengths of each candidate, everyone can choose different areas and hunt monsters of different levels based on their own combat strength. Moreover, since the number of monsters the assessment team put into the assessment area was extremely large, there was no need to worry about not killing enough monsters. In hunting a 1-star monster counts as 1 point. Hunting a 2-star monster counts as 10 points. Hunting a 3-star monster counts as 100 points. The assessment time is 1 hour. Are you ready? Entrance to the assessment area. The examiner in charge of the exam looked at the prepared group and asked. Ready, 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 ready. Su Yang is also in this group. Hunting monsters can be said to be his specialty. In the past few days, due to that attack, he has never entered the Abyss again. It can be said that my hands are itchy. This time, just let go and kill. Preparation is complete. The assessment begins. After the assessment begins, Su Yang glanced at the map. On the map, the distribution areas of 3-star, 2-star, and 1-star monsters are clearly defined. As the saying goes, if you don't have diamonds, don't do porcelain work. From this look, it seems that it is especially set up by the assessment team. The purpose is to allow candidates to better position themselves. Choose the monster you want to hunt. 1 star or 2 stars, don't consider it for now. Su Yang flew directly towards the area of the 3-star monster. Along the way, not a single person was seen. But this is normal. Which candidate has nothing to do? Go find a Samsung monster to torture yourself. Su Yang is extremely fast now. After a while, they came to the gathering area of 3-star monsters. It didn't take long at all. Just like the wind and the remaining clouds, it killed all the 3-star monsters in the entire area. Perhaps the people in the assessment team never thought that someone could be so cruel, so only about 23-star monsters were released. After killing all the 3-star monsters, Su Yang looked at the time. Less than 30 minutes had passed. After thinking about it, I feel that this score is not enough. Originally, I was thinking of going to the 2-star area to kill some monsters. But then I thought about it. A 3-star monster, 100 points. A 2-star monster, Tuan Tower. This is not a good deal. Moreover, if you kill all the 2-star monsters and 1-star monsters, what about other candidates? Su Yang has always been a considerate person. Therefore, he returned directly to the assessment point. I found the assessor and made a request to add some 3-star monsters again. What did you say? The examiner obviously didn't react. He looked at Su Yang with a dumbfounded face. This candidate just now said that he wanted to add more 3-star monsters. I said, can you ask the assessment team to put in more 3-star monsters? There are not enough monsters to kill. Su Yong repeated what the examiner said. Then he handed over the trophies of the 23-star monsters he had killed. The examiner fell silent on the spot. But in the end, he contacted the assessment team and put 33-star monsters in again. After learning that the new batch of 3-star monsters had been released, Su Yong turned back to the assessment area with satisfaction. After Su Yong left, the examiner was completely confused. He was a person dispatched from other cities to Hangzhou to invigilate the exam, and he had no idea of Su Yang's identity. But one thing he knows is that he has proctored the exam nearly a dozen times and has never encountered such a candidate. Kill a 3-star monster with 1 head and 2 heads, and the pig will be in trouble. That's why the assessment team let 23-star monsters in. Result: there are 23-star monster trophies in front of you. That seemingly harmless boy just now killed 23-star monsters at once. Are the candidates in Hangzhou so magical? Seeing him confused. Beside him, a local invigilator from Hangzhou walked over with a smile. Brother, you may not know. The candidate named Su Yong just now is a member of our famous evil group in Hangzhou. I heard from my colleagues that in the basic test that just ended, the core fit of his mecha reached 3 stars -100%. Speaking of which, he paused, patted the confused foreign invigilator on the shoulder, and said with emotion. So, no matter what happens to him, I am not surprised. Don't worry, even if he sends 20 more later, they will still be of normal weight. Normal? You call this normal? The foreign proctor looked confused, feeling that his worldview had collapsed. The assessment time is over. Several candidates exited the assessment area with excitement on their faces. Yeah, I feel like I performed really well this time. I feel like my score should be able to break 20. Ha ha ha, me too. Sure enough, I listened to the teacher right. We need to get basic points and kill 1-star monsters. Although killing 1 2-star monster is worth 10 1-star monsters, if one accidentally fails, it will be like picking sesame seeds and losing the watermelon. That's right, I heard that in our group, one person wanted to challenge the 2-star monster, but failed. He could only use the rescue capsule. He probably got cold. After half a month of practical training in the abyss, the vast majority of candidates can kill 10 to 31-star monsters within the assessment time. In order to ensure that they get a good score, 90% of the candidates will choose a minimum guarantee strategy like a few people. Only those geniuses who have a certain degree of confidence in their own combat power will challenge the 2-star monsters and try to get higher scores to enter a better mecha university. As for the Samsung monster, only top geniuses are qualified to touch that. Ordinary candidates like them would never even think about it. By the way, what do you think Su Yong will be like this time? Suddenly, one of the candidates asked enthusiastically. As candidates in the same group as Su Yong, in fact, they also really want to know. Su Yong, who performed so devilishly on the basic test. What kind of score can be obtained in this abyss actual combat session? Have you not seen Su Yang's test data? His mecha's performance has already reached 3 stars. Although the level is still very low, I estimate that killing 3 3-star monsters shouldn't be a big problem. 3 heads? Are you too conservative? I feel like 5 heads are easy. Oh no, I can only say that you are not from No. 3 middle school. I don't know how awesome Su Shen is. While the first two were talking, a person on the side smiled and interjected. Shen Su is more than what you seem to be. In addition to theoretical classes, Su Shen's fighting classes, kendo classes, and firearms classes are almost all crushing thirds. 5 more. Let me just say this, if nothing else happens, Su Shen will definitely kill more than 10 3-star monsters. What the hell? So awesome. 10 heads. Or people. Several people on the side were startled, with shock on their faces. The number 3 middle school student who admired Su Yong extremely was full of pride. Otherwise, how could God Su be called a monstrous genius who is rare to see in 10,000 years? Look at your lack of knowledge. Su Shen is awesome. Su Shen is invincible. This time it's our turn in Hangzhou to be the number 1 scholar in Great Sha. Su Shen is so awesome. As soon as the number 3 middle school student said it, several people immediately changed their words and changed Su Yong to hurt the spirit. Everyone's eyes were filled with admiration and yearning for Su Yang. However, this scene, all I can say is, it's a bit crazy. How to say? It seems like it is. When peasants imagine the life of an emperor. Imagine that the emperor is hoeing the ground with a golden hoe. Their cognition directly limits their imagination. Therefore, even the number 3 middle school student who knew Su Yang well could only say that Su Yang must have killed 10 3-star monsters. But in fact, assessment points. The examiner counting the trophies. My whole body was completely numb. Anesthesia. After the first 23-star monsters were killed, the assessment team re-released 33-star monsters. Until the end of the assessment time, when Su Yang returned to the assessment point, brought back trophies of 24 3-star monsters. Big exams from the past. Candidates who can kill 3-star monsters can appear. That is already a famous genius. Now, a total of 44 3-star monster corpse trophies are placed in front of you. Let me ask you, are you numb? That's Su Shen. Church, go and see how many 3-star monsters Su Shen has killed. I just said it. There must be 10 of them. If so, how about you treat me to a meal? No problem. By the way, can we ask Su Shen for an autograph? I think it's okay, but I don't know if Su Shen will give it. When we are about to arrive at the assessment point, when everyone saw Su Yang's figure not far away, they suddenly became extremely excited. He immediately rushed over at full speed, wanting to see how many 3-star monsters Su Yang had killed. Among them, the number 3 middle school student, Su Yang's loyal fan, immediately started counting carefully after arriving. 1, 2, 3, 18, 19, 20, 23, 24, 25, 30. Looking at the counting table. Densely packed 3-star monster trophies. The number 3 middle school student kept counting and felt something was wrong. By the end, when he counted to 30, his brain had shut down. If it weren't for the support of the people next to him, he would have fainted and fell to the ground. Su Shen killed 30 heads. Oh my god. To be honest, such a shock. It is too pale to describe it in words. Several people present felt that the conversation they just had was bullshit. What 3 heads? What 5 heads? What is go ba 10 heads? That's all fart. A total of 30 heads. 30 heads. You know, how much psychological harm will this cause to them who can only kill about 10 1-star monsters? They scored about 20 points, which already feels pretty good. But what are the scores for these 33-star monsters? A full 3,000 points. 3,000 points and 20 points. Is this the difference between God and humans? Several people were filled with emotion and almost wanted to worship Su Yang. Until the assessor took out another 20 trophies of 3-star monsters from the side, and then continued to count. 31, 32, 33. Everyone. Die. ... 44. Finally. The examiner was also sweating profusely. Finished counting the trophies of monsters killed by Su Yang. Then with trembling hands, he recorded Su Yang's results and uploaded them. There are 44 3-star monsters, one with 100 points is 4,400 points. When writing this 4,400 points, the examiner pinched his thigh hard. I can't help it, this feels too much like a dream. How many candidates were there before Su Yang? The ones in Qingyishui are in their teens and 20s, and the better ones may be in their 30s or 40s. Those who are stronger may have 100 or 150. Correct. There is a pair of sisters who have pretty good grades. The final scores were all over 400. However, more than 4,000 points compared to more than 400 points. It is simply a sky and an earth. Just comparing this behavior together is an insult to 4,000 points in itself. Excuse me, examiner, have the results been recorded? When the examiner is distracted, Su Yang asked softly from the side. Oh, okay. Congratulations. No, congratulations, classmate, you should be the number 1 scholar in this class. The examiner was agitated, came back to his senses and said. Even because I was so excited, even the words, you, slipped out accidentally. However, no one present felt anything was wrong at all. To Su Yang, no, it should be to Su Shen. Even for the examiner, use, you. So what happened? Isn't it unreasonable? Reasonable. Totally reasonable. After leaving the assessment point, Su-young returned to the waiting area. Since the examiner has said that because his score can surely win the top spot in the national exam, then there should be no problem, right? It should be fine. Although most of Su-young's heart is in that weird black core. But I am also looking forward to the S-level reward for the top scorer in the national examination. After all, there is still a top growth opportunity in front of him. S-level, after the increase, will surpass SSS level. To say that I am not looking forward to it is definitely a lie. Su Shen is back. I wonder how many points Su Shen scored. Although I don't know the exact number, I feel it could be 4 figures. 4 digits, isn't the thousands. Oh, it's Su Shen, then it's okay. Ha 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 ha, what are you going to do if you're not directing and acting? Seeing Su-young come back from the exam, all the students in the waiting area were very excited. Similarly, Lao Wang, the head teacher who is waiting here, is no less hopeful than his classmates. How about it? How much is Tian Yang's 1,000 points? Lao Wang looked at Su-young happily and asked. In his heart, his expectation score for Su-young was 1,500 points. He felt that with Su-young's strength, he should be able to achieve this score. Good. Faced with Lao Wang's inquiry and the expectant looks of his classmates, Su-young chuckled and nodded, not hiding his achievements. 4,400. It should be stable. The words finished. Everyone was dumbfounded. My mind went blank, leaving only, okay, and 4,400, echoing. Is this shit? Is it really fake? I originally thought that over 1,000 and 2,000 would be the limit. As a result, Su Shen suddenly got 4,400. How many? Not only the students were shocked speechless. Even I have been mentally prepared for it. I believe Su-young will definitely get the ultimate high score. My jaw almost dropped. I couldn't believe the score I heard. 4,400. It seems that he is used to the shock of everyone. Su-young repeated it with a helpless smile. This time, Lao Wang heard clearly. Well, I heard it clearly. ... Don't know why. I feel like my feet are a little floating. Hey, Lao Wang. Teacher Wang. Lao Wang's feet went weak and he almost fell. Everyone exclaimed and hurriedly rushed forward to support Lao Wang. Cough cough cough. I'm fine. Maybe I'm a little old, I can't help but feel frightened, and my legs are a little weak. Lao Wang's words. Everyone present couldn't help but laugh. But after these episodes, everyone realized very clearly. A rising star of Great Sha. An evil genius destined to create his own legend. A mythical mecha master who will surely reach the top of the world in the future. Because he also serves as the selector of the Abyssalians. And Yan, as well as the other heads of the Abyss Research Institute responsible for the other 5 provinces, were granted access to the exam results system. Therefore, not long after Su-young's Abyss assessment results came out, and Yan successfully saw Su-young's results. 4,400. Look at Su-young's score. And Yan's beautiful face showed a look of shock for the first time. You know, as the goddess of facial paralysis, known to everyone in the Abyss Research Institute, almost nothing can cause her expression to change. But now, Su-young did it. 4,400, such a high score. Not to mention in this year's major exam, even if we look at the entire history of majors, it has never happened before. And Yan's memory is quite good. She remembers it clearly. She was the top scorer in the college entrance examination that year. The score in the Abyss Actual Combat Assessment is 2,100 points. This alone caused quite a stir at the time. As for the historical record of the entire Daxia, it was held by the number 1 pick 3 years ago, with 2,900 points. Now, Su-young has directly raised this record to 4,400 points. This is equivalent to a direct increase of nearly 1/3. Is he really the guy the first saw at that time? At that time, he was a guy who didn't even understand the simple truth of never consume all his energy in non-lethal combat. Now he has transformed into the top pick in the Xia dynasty with a miraculous score of 4,400 points. And Yan felt some contrast. Certainly, what she didn't know was, when Su-young was 31, she actually didn't think about leaving at all. It was not what she thought at all. The energy was exhausted and there was no way to return to the temporary base. After all, when the abyss storm strikes, the elemental nuclear sword can absorb the energy and recharge it. This was quite important for Su Yang, who couldn't muster 10,000 units of energy to activate that Yuannang nuclear sword at that time, right? If nothing else goes wrong, Su Yang's score should be the top scorer in this year's exam. The next step is the Abyss Compatibility Assessment. Hopefully, you can pass the test. And Yan's eyes stay in the grade system. Su Yang's photo. Samsung hyphenation 100%, incredible level of core compatibility. 4,400 points is an almost impossible actual combat score. Basic tests and practical assessments. Achieving any of the above is enough to be called a monster genius. Now, with both of them coming together in one person, and Yan became truly interested in Su Yang for the first time. This interest, divided into two parts. Part of it is in Yan's own factors. To put it simply, maybe it's the mutual attraction between geniuses. She wants to know what kind of achievements Su Yang, who started so high, can achieve in the follow-up. The second part is for the public good. As the selector of the Abyssal Ones. And Yan has the important responsibility of choosing the Abyssal One. Although, so far, there is very little information about the Abyssal One project. It is just used as a preventive measure to prevent the collapse of the boundary between Abyss and main world in the future. But she had an instinctive premonition. This kind of disaster would eventually come. Maybe it's her sixth sense as a woman. Perhaps she studied the Abyss too deeply. Anyway, the more she understood the Abyss, the more I discover, the Abyss is always more dangerous, mysterious and terrifying than human imagination. So, as a face-faced person, he is a man who faces the Abyss. Such a person must not only have strong personal strength and excellent abyssal nature as a guarantee. You also need to be a person who is sound and stable both morally and personally. Therefore, the Abyss Selector must ensure this. Those who choose to join the Abyssal Facer plan can shoulder this responsibility. Out of this consideration, and Yan knew very well that she needed to get to know Su Yang in depth. Where is the best place to start? Just wait until the Abyss Compatibility Test is over. If the Abyssal Compatibility Test fails, no matter how talented Su Yang is, then maybe he can only study in the Mecha University. Naturally, I don't need to waste time and effort to understand his personality. At the same time, vigorous exams are taking place across the country. In the post-Mecha era, many provinces in Daxia were merged, and in the end only the six-state province remained. As one of the top powers in the world today, Daxia has outstanding people. In the annual exam, all kinds of geniuses can emerge from different provinces. There were 11 top talents participating in the online meeting at that time. In addition to Su Yang, there are 10 other people. There are 3 people from the Imperial City and 2 from the Demon City. The remaining 5 people are evenly distributed in the other 5 provinces. While Su Yang was creating his own legend, they were also exuding their own genius in their respective provinces and cities. Among them, Murong Nian, who came from the Murong family in the Demon City, was the most terrifying. In basic testing, the performance of her mecha has also reached the 3-star standard, only falling behind Su Yang. Of course, this was because Su Yang wanted to control the data at that time, only using less than half of the mecha's performance. In terms of the ultimate performance of the mecha, Su Yang still surpassed Murong Nian by a few steps. After all, S+ level mecha core. Not everyone can compare with that. Even the top evil genius can't do it. In addition to the test results of mecha performance, in terms of mecha core fit, Murong Nian also ranked first in the Magic City with a terrifying score of -76% for 3 stars. You know, another top genius who also participated in the online meeting last time in the Magic City had a mecha core compatibility score of -35% for 3 stars. The gap is so large that it obviously does not need to be elaborated. At last, it is an Abyss actual combat assessment. Murong Nian, as a well-known genius goddess in the Magic City. But from the outside, she is extremely fragile, just like the kind of girl in ancient books who is prone to death and ruins the country. But, as the old saying goes, a person cannot be judged by his appearance. In the Abyss assessment area, she is like a witch harvesting life. Everywhere he went, there was blood. One can even say, if it weren't for Su Yang, she will set a new record in Daxia, 3,500 points. Corresponding, another top talent in the Magic City. In the actual Battle of the Abyss, only 1,900 points were obtained. The gap, to be honest, is quite big. As time goes by little, the vigorous national examination has finally come to an end. All candidates from the 6 major provinces of Daxia all successfully completed the major exams. Results are also uploaded in real time. After review and discussion by the Daxia Examination Institute, the final test scores are weighted by the basic test and the Abyss actual combat. According to past practice, the national examination results of candidates will be announced anonymously by the central government. Anonymous publication means that only the candidates themselves can check their scores. Only candidates ranked in the top 10 in the country will be displayed as honorary candidates and everyone can see it. But today is different from the past. Established the project in the Abyssalist project. At the same time, I noticed that there was some kind of undercurrent. The central government cancelled this traditional practice. The top 10 in the country will not be announced again. However, even if the central government no longer announces the top 10 rankings of the national major exams, but it still couldn't stop Su Yang's name from spreading throughout the building. Samsung 100% Mecha Core Compatibility. Abyss Actual Combat Assessment Score of 4,400 points. Anyone who hears this, the first reaction is to say without hesitation, it's impossible. If the quality is poor, you might just say, what the hell are you thinking about this with your ass? Can't you even edit it decently? However, under the confident look of the news spreader, more and more people began to waver, and then after the spontaneous propaganda from Hangzhou people, they finally believed it. As a result, more and more people began to spread the word by word of mouth. A monster has appeared in Daxia. A monster in the true sense of the word. It simply surpassed all the previous top picks. It's too exaggerated. You know what? I heard that there is a top genius in Magic City, and her results have surpassed those of the top picks in several previous years. But in front of that monster named Su Yang, he was still completely crushed. It is said that in this big exam, even the top 10 geniuses and monsters are divided into 3 levels. What 3 levels? The number 1 pick this year, Monster Su Yang, is the first level. The second in this class, Mu Rong Nian from Magic City, the second level. Among the rest, the 3rd to 10th place is another level. In this case, J will come more and more. In the end, it all came back to Su Yang's ears. In his mind, the face of that stunningly beautiful girl and her clear eyes appeared. The corners of Su Yang's mouth raised slightly, but his eyes were full of smiles. Murong Nian is second place. 3 stars minus 76%, which is quite good without understanding the spirit contract method. As for the 3,500 point Abyss combat assessment, well, it's pretty passable. However, there is still a slight gap between him and me. You scored 3,500 points because of your strength. And I got 4,400 points simply because the assessment team did not release 4-star monsters. Then again, you said at the time that you would remember me. I wonder if I can make you remember it more deeply this time. That's what I thought in my heart. Su Yang chuckled and shook his head. It can only be said that people are naturally more concerned about people with good looks. Murong Nian can be said to be the most beautiful person he has ever seen since he was born. Only the aloof beauty whom I met at the temporary base could compete with her. Otherwise, why would he care about such a second place, right? Correct. I remember that someone from the examination Yuan called yesterday and said that the award ceremony for the top 10 will start this afternoon. Well, I want to teleport to the imperial capital. This is my first time going to the imperial capital. I need to tidy up a little. Remember this important thing. Su Yang suddenly became lively. The award ceremony or something is not important. What's important is his S-level reward. After a while. That is, Super SSS level reward. Really, something to look forward to. The time is almost up. Downstairs in Su Yang's community. Here comes the official exclusive shuttle vehicle from Hangzhou. After the national exam came to an end, Su Yang's name spread throughout Daxia almost overnight. Whether they know it or not, they all know that their country, Daxia, has produced an extraordinary number 1 scholar. As for how amazing it is, although they don't know the specific details, but he can pat his chest and brag to others. It's even more incredible than all the top picks in the past put together. It is because of this situation. There are even many people who don't know why, and they come to Hangzhou to admire the so-called, the strongest #1 scholar in history. This has caused the number of visits to Hangzhou to soar to an extremely terrifying level in recent days. This is true for outsiders. For locals, let alone talk about it. Who doesn't want to take a look at how awesome Su Yang is? Faced with such an influx of admirers, those who are quite familiar with Su Yang on weekdays are in shock. Whether it's the aunt who runs a supermarket in front of the community, the aunt who sells hand cakes on the street, or the uncle who practices the 8 steps of Vajra Kung Fu in the community square every day. Whenever you see someone, stop them and talk to them. For example, how is Su Yang doing on weekdays? He has shown the potential of a demonic genius since he was a child. In the future, he will definitely become a pillar of Dajin. And so on. Of course, you can listen to my bragging. Want to go in and find Su Yang? There's no way, there's nothing to talk about. Give money, not even giving money. These ladies and gentlemen, they all worked together very tacitly to stop those who wanted to enter the community to visit Su Yang. Although they don't have much culture, and they are unlikely to have much strength, they also know that so many people coming here will definitely cause a lot of trouble to Xiao Su. There is a reason why this scene happened. Su Yang lost his parents when he was young. Because he is well cared for by his neighbors in the community, he often does what he can to repay everyone. Before awakening, I often helped various families, and even took the initiative to help tutor some younger brothers and sisters who were not good at schoolwork. All we can say is, whatever you sow, you will get what you want. Su Yang used to be kind to others, so at this time, he asked everyone to stand up and help him block a lot of interruptions. This made the law enforcement officers sent by Hangzhou officials to maintain order see this, and they couldn't help but sigh. The emergence of Su Yang in Hangzhou is a blessing for Hangzhou, and even more so for Daxia. These things, in the end, it all ended up with An Yan. Once upon a time, she thought about checking Su Yang's character after the Abyss compatibility test. Now it seems, passing for the time being. After picking up Su Yang, the Hangzhou official car drove slowly to the city center. There, Su Yang will teleport to the imperial capital to participate in the awards ceremony symbolizing glory. In the car, Su Yang closed her eyes and rested her mind. Now, 2 days have passed since the big exam ended. In the past 2 days, he has not stopped at all. The day before yesterday, after he completed his promotion to the Deed Spirit, promoted to the Light Group and once again swallowed by the weird and mysterious Black Core. Yesterday, this is his 4th promotion to the Bonded Spirit. This time, after completing the promotion to the Pact Spirit, the Black Core did not appear. And he also completed a breakthrough from 1 star to 4 stars. Not only that, in addition to level promotion, the level has also soared. After being promoted to IV.30, the experience accumulated from killing the Apostles of the Abyss has actually been consumed. But last time, the weird shadow that was killed using magnetic energy orbital ray provided Su Yang with a full 1 million experience points. This allowed Su Yang to reach IV.40 the moment she broke through to 4 stars. After passing the promotion test of Tianqi system, Su Yang officially became a 4-star Mecha Master. Just after the big exam, he was promoted to a 4-star Mecha Master. If this incident spreads, the sensation it will cause is estimated to be tens or hundreds of times greater than Su Yang's score of 4,400 in the Abyss actual combat assessment. At the same time, because it has an enhanced S+ class Mecha core, now Su Yang's panel is nearly twice as high as the highest Mecha performance recorded by the Global Mecha Masters Association. At this time, Su Yang's Mecha panel is as follows. LV.40 Initial Mecha. Energy Reserve 40,000 units. Attributes. Maximum Strength 10 tons. Maximum Speed 340 meters per second. Maximum damage that can be sustained 32,000 units. 40,000 units of energy. Up to 10 tons of terrifying power. In terms of speed, even without an accelerator, it can still reach the speed of sound. Anyone who considers himself a top 4-star mecha master will feel that he is a scumbag compared to such a terrifying panel. But, if Su Yang was asked to count his biggest gains in the past 2 days, it is undoubtedly the weird black core. After absorbing 3 promotion light groups, it's finally fully activated. Without it, you can plunder and devour the promotion light group. This is also the fundamental reason why Su Yang was successfully promoted to the Deed Spirit for the 4th time. Think of this. Su Yang's heart moved slightly. The strange black core quietly appeared in the palm of my hand. Again controlled by the mind, the strange black core stretched out several tentacles and connected to the car. This is a special vehicle for the Hangzhou government, equipped with extremely powerful anti-intrusion and anti-attack systems, as well as a large number of defense and firepower devices. However, all of these, in front of the black core, it is vulnerable. In less than 3 seconds, Su Yang mastered all the data of this special car through the black core. If Su Yang wants to, you can turn on the defense mode, attack mode, and even emergency mode of the private car at will. It can also cause the driver to lose control of his driving authority and access his own neural sensing to replace it. Anyway, strong, invincible. However, this is also the only black core usage that Su Yang has mastered so far. That is to invade all mechanical intelligent devices and manipulate and control them. As for other functions, they have not been revealed yet. Maybe over time, or as black core evolves again, the rest of its functions should be revealed slowly. Thinking of this, Su Yang couldn't help but sigh. He is extremely talented and possesses a system. Now, there is such a thing. How to say, the whole body is hanging. Are you playing the cracked version of time travel? Su Yang chuckled in her heart. Just when the special car stopped, she must have arrived at her destination. Su Yang pretended that nothing happened, quietly took back the black core, thanked the driver, and got out of the car. Hangzhou, the executive government. Qian Tong, the governor of Hangzhou, was very happy. Even in Hangzhou, some geniuses come out every year during the exam. But the number of times it can enter the top 10 in the country is very few. Hangcheng. How long has it been since there was no champion? 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, not sure exactly. But in short, it has not appeared since he took office. As a result, this year, it really gave him a big surprise. Not only did he come out, he also surpassed all previous top picks in the Great Xia dynasty and was the strongest top pick in history. Tisk tisk tisk. Su Yang's results. He was extremely shocked just by taking one look at it. It is simply a miracle that such a monster appears in Hangzhou instead of in a core city like the imperial capital or the magic capital where all heroes gather. Such talent, if nothing else happens, in the future, it will definitely be a big star. Some time ago, he was extremely worried because of the Abyss transformation case and the temporary base attack case. Now there is finally something that can make him feel a little relieved. But, his eyes suddenly became sharp. After Su Yang won the top prize in Daxia, he learned more details about King Guan's Abyss transformation case. One of them is that in the second mutant attack, the targets of those mutants seemed to be quite clearly pointed at Su Yang. This means that the mastermind behind this case is plotting against Su Yang. He will report this matter to the central government. To such a great Xia Dongliang. Anyone who takes a peek. They all deserve to die. Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, you have to dig them out. After Su Yang became the #1 scholar in Daxia, his identity value skyrocketed. If nothing goes wrong, after reporting it to the central government, a special department will naturally come to deal with it. Qian is in charge. Su Yang has arrived. Qian Tong was thinking. The assistant next to him whispered softly in his ear. Hearing this, Qian Tong came to his senses and strode towards Su Yang who had just arrived. 10 minutes later, in front of the conveyor. To be honest, Sha Tai is very good at polite communication in official circles. But having said that, the impression left by Qian Zongji on him was quite good, and he didn't do too many bells and whistles. Not only that, but in the name of the Hangzhou government, he was given a reward of 1 million apocalypse points. 1 million points. This is definitely not a small amount of money. Top growth opportunity, +1. Quite comfortable. Classmate Su Yang, the transmission device is ready. Okay. After being reminded by the staff at the edge, Su Yong stepped into the teleportation device and headed to the Imperial capital. Imperial capital. After arriving in the Imperial capital, the same as a private car transfer. But this time, after picking up Su Yong, the special car slowly drove into the central government office. Central government. After seeing the eye-catching regional warning sign, Su Yong felt slightly shocked in his heart. You know, the central government is the core hub of the entire Daxia and the top priority of the country. Even though this is not the core area of the central government, the fact that the award ceremony for the top 10 in the national exam can be held here is enough to show that the official attaches great importance to them. After the special car drove into the central government office, the corresponding central government staff took Su Yong into the central government hall where the award ceremony was about to be held. Students, please wait a moment. There are still about 10 minutes until the award ceremony starts. Okay, sorry, Su Yong replied politely. Then his eyes swept randomly across the conference hall. There are about 6 people who have arrived now. 5 of them were all seen in the online meeting at that time, but one person was not among them at that time. Yes, the dark horse of which province? Just when Su Yong was curious. Suddenly, I noticed movement next to me. Turning around, I saw that beautiful side face and cool temperament. It was the wealthy daughter from the Magic City, Murong Nian. Only, although Su Yong knows, at the award ceremony, I will definitely see Murong Nian, who is second in the college entrance examination. But, Claw, there are so many empty seats in this conference hall. Come up and sit directly next to me. Is there something not quite right? It seemed that he noticed Su Yang's gaze. Murong Nian turned his head, and his heart-stoppingly beautiful eyes met Su Yang's gaze. What's wrong? Nothing. Su Yong shook his head and looked away. Murong Nian sat directly next to him when there were still so many seats around. This was obviously directed at him. But now it looks like she didn't seem to think anything was wrong. In this case, Su Yong naturally wouldn't say anything more. With such a stunning girl sitting next to her, what harm can it do except for occasionally entertaining her? As time passes minute by minute, the award ceremony is about to begin. The top geniuses who were ranked among the top 10 in the country in the big exam have also arrived one after another and sat in their respective seats. Only, so far, huge conference hall, hundreds of locations. Only Su Yong and Murong Nian sat next to each other. The rest of the people each chose a seat with no one around to sit down. So this is a little embarrassing. Especially when other people discover this. The atmosphere suddenly became a little subtle. As human beings, no matter if he is an ordinary person or a genius, I can't escape my gossiping heart. These top geniuses present are, after all, young boys and girls who have just graduated from high school. How could they have any mature and prudent character? Seeing Su Yong and Murong Nian sitting together at this time, it is inevitable that some strange misunderstandings will arise. Therefore, at this time, this thought came to everyone's mind. There can't be any relationship between these two people, right? The one who kowtows most energetically. Undoubtedly a girl from the imperial capital. The girl's name is Mo Ruhuan, and she achieved an impressive 4th place in this national exam, ranking 2nd in the imperial capital. At the same time, she is also an avid lover of romance novels. In addition to theoretical study and practical experience, almost all the time is spent on various romance novels. Like most people who like to read romance novels, what she likes to do most on a daily basis is to imagine romantic love dramas. 650. In Mo Ruhuan's eyes, Su Yong, the number 1 in this national exam, crushed everyone and became the strongest in an invincible manner. In terms of appearance, figure and temperament, she, who is a serious face controller, can't find any faults at all. She can be called the perfect male protagonist in the novel. Murong Nian, the 2nd place in this national examination, but this 2nd place is not that 2nd place, but the 2nd place that surpasses all the top picks in the history. Not only that, she is a young girl from the Murong family, the top wealthy family in the Magic City. Her appearance is extremely beautiful, and her figure is so enchanting that even a girl like her would drool. The most important thing is, she was among the first to arrive here. But I saw with my own eyes that after Murong Nian arrived at the scene, he went straight to Su Yong and sat next to him. And from beginning to end, the two of them looked at each other and only said one word. Ah. Mo Ruhuan, who has always had extremely strong brain power. Just in the first few minutes of the award ceremony, I imagined a love story between a cold, yandere and rich girl, and a god-level perfect monster. If it weren't for the fact that all communication systems were blocked here, she would definitely share this story with all her good friends. These two people are such a perfect match. Except for Mo Ruhuan. The rest of the people, more or less, had the same idea as her, they just weren't as good at figuring things out as she was. But Su Yang and Morong Nyen sat together so clearly. If they said that the two of them were not dating, they would never believe it. Certainly, among several top talents present, there are many people who fell in love with Morong Nyen at first sight during the last online meeting. At this age, love at first sight happens again. At this time, it is impossible not to be heartbroken. Morong Nyen, that is a top goddess. Can't fault anything at all. As a result, it was taken down by Su Yang just like that. There is envy, but there is no jealousy. Su Yang ranks first in fault, strongly crushing all the geniuses in history. Where are they? They are nothing more than heartbroken puppies. Morong Nyen's eyes would never fall on them. Cried. In addition to the top 10 candidates in the country. Also arriving at the scene were Yan, Morongsi and other heads of research institutes. Of course, today, they are participating in this award ceremony as selectors of Face Abyss. After finding a place to sit down, Yan naturally looked for Su Yang. Morongsi took the opportunity to sit next to her, and then began to look for his sister Morong Nyen. Then, a minute passed. The two people's eyes converged together. Yan looked at Su Yang, and Morongsi looked at Morong Nyen. Yan was slightly stunned. Obviously he didn't expect to see such a scene. Then, she turned her head and looked at Morongsi beside her. As for Morongsi, sit cross-legged, putting her elbows on her legs and supporting her chin with both hands, Yan rolled her eyes. Watch what I do. You know, I'm not that old-fashioned. My sister is already 18 years old, what's wrong with falling in love? Besides, that guy is Su Yang, right? Seeing Morongsi as a sister, she didn't even care. Naturally, Yan wouldn't say much. Although she has never been in love. But I also know it. Boys and girls, they should all yearn for love. Well, from a biological point of view, it's quite normal. What is he like as a person? Morongsi asked, tilting her head slightly. Good. Yan nodded. I thought about the comments made by the neighbors in Su Yang's community about Su Yang and what he did. Wow, if you can tell someone like you is okay, then he is really good. Morongsi glanced at Yan and couldn't help but sigh. But then, she turned her gaze back to the young girl in front of her and said unsteadily. I still trust people who have passed your inspection. You also know the situation of our family. My sister is alone in Shanghai, and she is quite lonely. If she really wants to fall in love with Su Yang, it would be nice to enrich her life. Just, don't cross that line for me. Crossing the line. What line? Well, content of the conversation between Yan and Morongsi. Su Yang has no way of knowing. So he has no idea. Just because of Morong Nyen's behavior. In the eyes of other top geniuses and Morongsi. He is now dating Morong Nyen. Passive love. Finally, the award ceremony was officially held. First, it was led by someone from the central government. He affirmed the achievements made by everyone. Afterwards, he gave a little speech and mentioned a little bit about the crises that Daxia may face in the future. Such as the ferocious development momentum of the Eagle American Federation and the European Continental Alliance in recent years, Daxia must continue to maintain its position in the competition between the three top powers, etc. After the leader finished his speech, it was the award ceremony that was very popular. According to past practice, the top 3 in the national exam will receive S-level rewards. However, after showing a mysterious smile, the leader announced this year's special changes. Everyone, in this year's big exam, many talented people have emerged from our country. This is a symbol of the coming of my great summer, and it is the general trend of our country becoming stronger and stronger. Among them, the one I want to highlight is Su Yang, a student from Hangzhou. In this year's major exam, he broke our record as a member of the team. achieved unimaginable and terrifying results. So, after discussions between the central government and the University Federation, student Su Yang will be awarded specially modified S-class equipment. Wow! After hearing this news, the other geniuses present were stunned. While turning his gaze towards Su Yang, he was also curious. So what does the so-called special transformation mean? Seeing everyone's curious expressions, the leader did not directly answer their questions. Instead, he looked around and asked with a smile, "Fellow students, is there anyone among you who wants to enter the special equipment research and development industry in the future?" Hear the words. Among the crowd, there was a frail boy wearing glasses who raised his hand. Very good. Someone raised their hand. The leader nodded with satisfaction. In today's mecha generation, the strength of a mecha master is certainly important, but at the same time, equipment is also an important part that affects the combat effectiveness of a mecha master. And in Daxia, we have such a department in the Abyss Research Institute under the Abyss Administration, which is responsible for the research and development of special equipment. The specially modified S-class equipment I mentioned just now was developed by this department. As for why it is said to be a special transformation, before that, I have another question to ask you. Everyone can only say, worthy of being a leader. I just like asking questions. However, the leader obviously did not realize that he had been complained about by everyone, but he still said cheerfully, "If I'm not mistaken, among the students present now, the ones with the highest levels should be classmates Su Yang and Morong Nian, 3-star mecha masters. The rest of the students are all Erxing and Master Shen. So, what is the highest level of the accessories you are currently installing on your mecha?" "A level," someone answered quite cooperatively. "Very good." The leader's eyes lit up. "The equipment you are equipped with now, the highest level, will definitely not exceed a level. As for why, you will learn it in the Advanced Energy course after entering college. As the equipment level increases high, although the energy core efficiency in the equipment is increased, the amount of energy required is reduced, 21. But, the energy quality requirements of high-level energy cores will never be low. Your current mecha core can drive A-level equipment at most, which is already the limit. As for the energy quality required for S-level equipment, it requires a 5-star mecha core to drive it. And after specially modified S-class equipment, even a 4-star mecha core can be driven." Speaking of this, the leader smiled. "So, second and third place, although your rewards are also S-level equipment, you may not be able to use them until you are promoted to 5-star mecha masters. As for Su Yang, as long as you are promoted to a 4-star mecha master, you can use it." Boom. I see. After hearing these words, all the geniuses present looked at Su Yang with envy. Specially modified S-class equipment can be used with only 4 stars. This means that after being promoted to 4 stars, Su Yang's combat power will be even wider than theirs. However, face these words, Su Yang's brows were always slightly frowned. Because, from the leader's words, he heard something different. First of all, he is not a 3-star mecha master, he is a 4-star mecha master. Well, this is harmless. But here's the kicker. According to this statement, the elemental nuclear weapon sword and magnetic storm orbital ray, which have been amplified by the system, are both SSS level equipment. How can my own mecha core drive these 2 top-level equipment at such a low level? Isn't this a small horse-drawn cart, forced to get on? Originally, he didn't pay too much attention. Anyway, as long as it works. But now that I think about it, the more I think about it, the more something is wrong. So, what could be the influence? Su Yang fell into thought. Until, the figure of the strange black core came to mind. Etc. Could it be that? Is this the reason for it? Su Yang suddenly realized, if it is like this, that makes sense. That black core is inherently mysterious. Since you have the ability to invade any mechanical system, it makes sense to have the ability to improve your own energy quality, right? At the same time, this also proved from the side that even before he sacrificed 3 times to advance to the Pact Spirit and successfully activated the black core, it was already helping him. Otherwise, even if the system helps you amplify ordinary equipment into SSS level equipment, there is no way to drive it relying on your own low-level mecha core. Next, Please invite Su-young to come up to the stage to receive the reward. On stage, the leader in charge of the award ceremony said with a smile. Su-young came to his senses, stood up, and slowly walked towards the stage in the eyes of everyone. In addition to Morong Nyen, even the third placer in the big exam was also extremely coveted for the specially modified S-class equipment. At the same time, different people also have different psychological activities in their hearts. I'm so envious of S-class equipment that can be used by 4 stars. After enrolling in school, based on Su-young's talent, it is estimated that he will be promoted to a 4-star Mecha Master in less than half a year. By then, his combat power will probably far exceed ours. I'm still so envious. Only the number 1 in fault can obtain this specially modified S-class equipment. Even the second-ranked Morong Nyen can't obtain it, right? On stage, after some routine awards, it was time for the actual rewards. The assistant in charge of awarding awards came onto the stage from the side and handed Su-young a portable smart tablet. The above are the S-class equipment that have been specially modified. Su-young, you can choose any one of them. Okay, Su-young nodded. Then directly in the category, click on the defense equipment interface. This behavior made the leaders next to him stunned. Aren't young people generally very angry? Why should I choose offensive equipment? Unexpectedly, Su-young actually chose a defensive equipment. However, after all, it is a random selection. No matter what Su-young chooses, he will not interfere. In the end, it only took Su-young less than 3 minutes to choose his favorite reward: $level all-round defense force field. S-level all-round defense force field. Introduction. By continuously injecting energy, a comprehensive defensive stance can be formed around the mecha to resist physical energy attacks. Attributes. After the attack in the abyss before the big exam, Su-young deeply realized his current shortcomings. The current self is just a glass cannon. It seems to be holding 2 nuclear explosion level killer weapons, energy nuclear weapon sword and magnetic storm orbital ray. But it itself is still quite fragile. So, defensive equipment, the regiment is the top priority. After the selection is completed and confirmed, every 3 minutes, the S-level all-round defense force field device is brought up by the staff. As a specially modified S-class weapon, it is extremely rare. It is packed in a specially encrypted suitcase and can only be opened by those with authority. Can that black core break through this encryption system? When the staff opened the encrypted suitcase, Yang thought unconsciously. If it is possible, then, what about the other systems in the central government? However, this thought only appeared for a second. The central government office serves as the central hub of Daxia. Why do you want to crack it? Del, from beginning to end, I have been a good, law-abiding citizen. 5 minutes later, Su-young successfully obtained his S-level all-round defense field and returned to his position. From start to finish, Morong Nyen didn't say a word. Only when she went on stage to receive her second-place award, she said thank you. His aloof character is undoubtedly evident. The follow-up will be the rewards for third place and subsequent rankings. Su-young didn't care at all about this, but pretended to close his eyes and rest his mind, but he was actually operating the system. Apocalypse points 212 W points. This is 212 W points. 1 million points come from killing the weird shadow in the abyss. 1 million points, a gift from the Hangzhou government. The remaining 120,000 points were earned by Su-young from previously hunting monsters and completing commissions. Take another look at the system increase price. Top amplification draw opportunity 1 million apocalypse points. Very good. I spent 1 million apocalypse points without hesitation to purchase a top-level growth opportunity. According to the system introduction, the increase range of top amplification opportunity is between 10,000 times. From the beginning, it was a terrifying increase of 10,000 times. If you are lucky enough, you can get a 100,000 times increase. Please select an increase target. As the system prompt sounds, Su-young directly chose the S-level all-round defense field he had just obtained. Let's see what kind of terrifying existence it will be amplified into in the end. The top amplification opportunity is being drawn. Extraction successful. Increase 38,888 times. 38,888 times increase. This number is quite auspicious. The amplification object is S-level equipment, and the amplification multiple is nearly 40,000 times. Increase in progress. Increase successful. S-level all-round defensive force field close double angle bracket XS 9-fold seraph ring. Su Yang. XS level. After seeing this level mark, Su Yang's heart was shocked. To be honest, so far, Su Yang has never seen any XS level equipment. But not surprisingly, it should be far stronger than the so-called SSS level. This can be seen just from the name of this XS level equipment. Ninefold Seraph Circle. This name, probably due to the XS level bonus. Su Yang always feels inexplicably domineering and powerful. XS Ninefold Seraph Ring. Introduce. Powerful defensive equipment embedded with a sacred core. It can realize instantaneous summons and cover the user's body in all directions without blind spots. The energy required to resist attacks is drawn from the sacred core, and no additional energy is required. When the energy in the sacred core is exhausted, the equipment loses its function and can be restored by replenishing the sacred core. Maximum Defense Level 9. Holy Core Energy 100%. After reading the introduction of Ninefold Seraph Circle, to be honest, Su Yang was a little confused. This thing, isn't it a bit ridiculously strong? Even though Su Yang was mentally prepared, he was still deeply shocked. Instantaneous summons. This means that as long as Su Yang has a thought, he can summon it for defense without even loading it. At the same time, what's even more terrifying is that it also has its own energy source and does not need to consume the user's energy. And the maximum defense level. The 9th level. What is this concept? The SSS level Energy Nuclear Sword and Magnetic Storm Orbital Ray can easily release nuclear explosion level power. Nuclear explosion level is the 8th energy level. In this way, the 9th energy level is an order of magnitude higher than that of a nuclear explosion. This 9 layers of Seraph Ring can withstand 9th level attacks in a blink of an eye. Nuclear explosion level is already quite exaggerated. It can destroy a city in an instant. Then a 9th level attack will definitely be a terrifying natural disaster. But me, from now on, you will be safe and sound under the 9th level natural disaster. Think of this. Su Yang's breathing became a little rapid. Because this is really a surprise that exceeds the limit of imagination. It seems that he noticed something strange about Su Yang. Murong Nian, who was beside him, glanced at him gently. Fortunately, Su Yang quickly calmed down her inner excitement and returned to normal. But, even as the shock and excitement subsides, there is still a question in Su Yang's mind. That is, what does the sacred core mentioned in the introduction of Ninefold Seraph Circle refer to? Is it some kind of special natural energy crystal nucleus? Or some kind of artificial energy source? At least, I have never had it before. I just tried searching in the Tianqi Systems trading store, but there was no record. This is simply not something that exists in this world. However, it's just like Su Yang's previous thought, as long as it works. 0.0. An hour later, when the award ceremony is over. When everyone thought the show was about to end. The leader on the stage suddenly cleared his throat, and his expression instantly became serious. Fellow students, the award ceremony is over though. But today we have the next step. Having said this, he paused. Then he stepped back and gave up his position. None of the 10 people, including Su Yang, knew that there would be the next step after the award ceremony. This link, with this curiosity, everyone just saw it. Another old man with white beard and hair, who was obviously older than the previous leader, slowly came onto the stage from the audience. The old man's steps were steady, his posture was upright, and his spirit was hale and hearty. His eyes, which should have been old, were as sharp and bright as a falcon on the grassland. Mr. Zhou. On stage, the leader who was previously in charge of the award ceremony bowed slightly towards the old man. This scene made everyone's eyes change slightly. In the central government, one can be regarded as a leader. The status is definitely not low. However, after meeting this old man, the leader bowed so respectfully to say hello. So, how terrifying would this old man's identity be? Cough. There was no time for everyone to speculate. After taking the stage, the old man cleared his throat first. Then, those eagle-like eyes swept over everyone present. Gentlemen, my surname is Joe. If you have any questions later, you can just call me Mr. Joe. One sentence down, the old man only said his last name. Not a shred of information about his position was revealed. But despite this, everyone present felt a deep pressure. This is a kind of the majesty and temperament that comes with being in a superior position. After a brief pause, the old man slowly continued to speak. What I'm going to say next is related to the country's core secrets. So after the meeting, the necessary people, the important ones, will be forgotten. This technology is now mature and will not cause any harm to you. It only removes the memory of this link, so you can rest assured. Wow! As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar. A core national secret, forgotten memory. How do you feel? It seems like something terrible is about to happen. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.